What is up, our fellow Monarch Monsters? It is your boy Trey of the Bat Channel, and we are live once again. Going to be talking about our season 1 overview of Monarch Legacy of Monsters on Apple TV. Sorry that we had to reschedule, as you guys may have heard. Wonder Wife had a tragic loss in the family that we've been helping out with, and obviously just taking the time to breathe and heal a little bit. So I apologize for the kind of craziness of our schedule and how we haven't really been around much for the last couple of weeks. And it's I appreciate, though, for all you guys who have reached out to us, offering your condolences and the warm hugs and just good vibes that you all have been sending us, thoughts and prayers. So thank you guys so much. It just goes to show how incredible our community is, and I can't thank you guys enough for just being amazing. So thank you so much for being here with us to talk about Monarch Legacy of Monsters at least one more time until we get some season 2 news, maybe, if they do decide to continue it on Apple TV. But let's go ahead, guys, and go through all the pleasantries that you know we already do, like following us on our social media pages like TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Threads if you're there, at @_Bat Channel. It's just a great place to get to know us, DM us, let us know what's going on in your life, or to find out what's going on in ours. You know, you can even let us know when you hear cool news about some of the things we talk about, like Godzilla, Jurassic Park, even. Big news about Jurassic Park with that new movie coming out. Like, I did not expect them to do a movie so quickly after the Jurassic World trilogy. I'm looking forward to it, though, because David Koepp is back doing the writing for it, who did the first 2 Jurassic Park films. So that tells me maybe we're into something good here. But we also got some more cool stuff coming up with the Halo series. Season 2 is coming back, so we have a lot of cool things coming up for you guys. But make sure to help our channel by smashing that like, sharing this video, subscribing if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode. And also, replay crew, comment along the way. We love to hear your guys' thoughts all the way through the stream if you weren't able to watch it live. And then Cobra, man, he's so on it. All of our shows that we've done in the past, all of our breakdowns of Monarch Legacy of Monsters, you can go ahead and check those out if you haven't already. If you really want to deep dive into some of the metaphors that they're doing, some of the hidden imagery and Easter eggs, it's a great way to just check out all of our Monarch Legacy of Monsters breakdown. And then, of course, what you guys have all been waiting for, a few of you have like really hit me up about this and just nonstop being like, Trey, where's your Godzilla -1 review? We've heard you talk about it, how much you love it. It will be happening next week. I'm obviously, with the craziness of family stuff going on and also being busy with Monarch Legacy of Monsters, it's been tough to get around to this one. But we're also trying to figure out a good time for our Monarch Monstars panel to join us for a review some point. And I feel like this is a good time because, if you didn't know, and you should know, Godzilla -1 Color has released in theaters. They're doing a black and white version that's going to be fire. So fire. Cannot wait to watch it, just to get some of that old 1954 vibes again. So I'm definitely going to be checking out probably tomorrow sometime, and then we'll be able to review it, and it'll be a good like refresher to kind of remind me of the themes I loved about it and some other thoughts I may have. But also, in great news, Godzilla -1 got nominated for an Academy Award for Best Visual Effects. This is awesome, and I'm so happy for them. I saw the cast and crew going crazy about it, but I think they got gypped on a couple of categories. They should have got Best Director. They should have got Best Film, Best Actor, maybe even Best Actress. There's a lot they should have got nominated for. Best Visual Effects, definitely. For the budget they had, which now sounds like it was more around 10 million than 15 million. Insane. But I'm so happy for them. It's going to be, I can't wait to hear what happens at the Oscars for this. I hope they get it. They deserve it. They truly do. But guys, without further ado, let's bring out the best co-host I could ever ask for. Ladies and gentlemen, Super Bro Corey. How you doing, big fella?
What is up, buddy? How we doing tonight, my friend? How we doing tonight?
Doing well. How about you?
Man, I'm pumped up. I've been waiting to talk about this, see if my views have changed a little bit. Yeah, I'm ready to go tonight, buddy.
Sweet. I'm curious to hear your thoughts, Corey, because we were talking about it a little bit over the weekend and even over the week because you and I were watching episodes again. You were kind of throwing some things my way, giving me hints at what you're going with. So I'm curious for you to explain yourself on a couple of these things. So Corey and I will show obviously what our first scores were when we were breaking it down with you guys live to now watching it, seeing the whole season overview arc, and then we'll talk about our overall rating for season 1. So it's gonna be a damn good time that I cannot wait. But Corey, let's go ahead and bring out our fire panel. You've seen them here before. We got Koj and our boy Kaiju Junkie Nick. How you doing, guys?
What's up?
Hey.
It's great to see you guys. How's everyone been?
I've been good. I'm just with family. I'm glad I got to get away, put one of the kids down, and they're putting on Frozen 2, so this is saving me. Thank you.
I'm doing all right myself. I'm excited to be back here. I wanted to talk about the series more in general with you guys. I know last time we really talked about the episode 10, but now I am so glad that I can talk more about why I think this show is just mid and piss off way more people.
Oh, okay.
Variety.
I kid. I won't be too negative.
I mean, you can be honest, and that's what we like. Everyone, as you already know from shows we've done in the past, we do welcome all opinions as long as people respect others. So be nice in the chat. If you hear anything that you disagree with, even replay crew, you're going to get mixed opinions, and that's okay. You're allowed to have your opinion, as long as you're just respectful to others about it. So we welcome Kaiju Junkie Nick. Go all the way with it, and telling your thoughts when we get there. So I know it's been crazy. It seems like there's been a wide range of views on this show. You either love it, hate it, or you're in this middle section, and it seems like no one can it doesn't seem like there's a hardcore, like, it was amazing, everyone who the hater should shut up. It's not, I don't feel like it's dominant yet. Like there's no side that's really pulling the lead. According to my Twitter and the poll that I did recently, it would suggest that there is a mindset in one direction. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. But to each their own. Everyone's allowed to like what they like or not like what they like, or be meh about it. So I'm excited to talk about it all with you guys. Corey, who's on the chat today?
Yeah, man, we have a lot of people here tonight. We got King Donkey Kong, Kaiju Crazy Craig Rowland, Oracle's Clock Tower, Red Hooded Outlaw, Beyond the Night, The Butler, The Batman Who Laughs, Carrie Kelly, 9 Lives in Hell here, Dean Classified, Monarch Eyes Only, Atomic Kaiju 1954, Akio Lee, Red Robin, Trevor H. Let's see, we have a super chat as well, Trey.
Oh,
our boy Red Hooded Outlaw. Put on your tinfoil hat game. It's Monarch Monsters time.
I love it. Put on the tinfoil hat. See, let your freak flag fly, my man. You already know. Listen to Tim. Get that tinfoil cap ready because we going hot with the Godzilla shows on Monarch Legacy of Monsters. Corey, can you play Red Hooded Outlaw a little something to say thank you?
Yeah, I think this one's going to be for you, Red Hooded Outlaw.
Oh, he's even got the hat. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. This one's for you, Red Hooded Outlaw. I did make it, man. I put it together real quick. I was like, oh yeah, we going in. We going in tonight.
Corey, you are beautiful. Do not ever change.
Thank you, Nick.
It's tinfoil hat time.
Yeah, tinfoil hat time. I was like, I knew somebody was going to comment it, and I was ready to go, get the tinfoil cap ready. So we rocking it tonight.
Applause. I don't even know what to say anymore, Corey.
I like it. It's like a gnome hat and a cross between a gnome hat and a Hershey Kisses.
Yeah, I hooked it up with another hat, so I was like, get fitted right. I was like, oh,
there you go.
It's a little fly.
Give it a little structural integrity there.
Exactly.
Out of
Trademark
curiosity,
that
Corey,
shit.
how's it working? Are you able to keep your thoughts and not be controlled by anything? How you feeling in control right now?
Man, I tell you, they're putting stuff in the water, Trey. It's getting crazy out there. Kaijus are popping up all over the place.
So
Get
is this
wild.
gonna like turn into like full Alex Jones? You this guy's gonna start shilling products that don't really work. Ultimate bio-tracking defense pills.
Well, Corey, is this working right now? Batdan just gave us a $2 super chat asking you to take your effing Christmas stuff down.
You know,
Corey?
that's one of the reasons why I have the tinfoil cap on, so I can, just channel out all the haters. Yeah, not happening. Let's see. And this, I'm so passionate about Christmas. This is me shoving Christmas down Batdan's throat. You're gonna take that Christmas
Take
tree.
that.
Oh my God, that's fantastic, Super
Scrooge.
Oh my God. Oh geez. Well, guys, it is so awesome to see everyone here in the chat. Thank you so much. Go ahead and share the stream if you haven't already. Get all of your fellow Godzilla fans into the chat so we can really just kind of give our thoughts about Monarch Legacy of Monsters Season 1 to say, was it worth it? And, would we be down for a Season 2? I don't know. It could be mixed. We'll see what happens. But make sure you stick around. Just to kind of get your guys' thoughts before we dive in real quick. What's your thoughts about Godzilla Minus One getting nominated for Best Visual Effects for the Oscars? Do you think they got a shot, or is it just kind of a little nod to say, hey, yeah, pat on the back, good job, but this is the Oscars?
Who's going first? Me?
Yeah, let's do Nick, Koj, and then Super Bro. That'll be our rotation.
All right. Well, I think it goes without saying that I am beyond thrilled that a Godzilla movie is finally making an appearance at the Oscars. I think we saw it, especially with last year, that I think merit and integrity is starting to come back to the Oscars. In past years, it was all about, they're just the Oscars isn't what it used to be. It's all bullshit, drama, trying to push agendas. Yeah. But last year, we saw Brendan Fraser win his first Oscar. I always blank on his name, but the guy from Everything Everywhere All at Once, he played Short Round.
Yes,
like him getting his Oscar after returning to Hollywood.
That was beautiful.
Just and it really it was like I didn't watch the Oscars last year, but it really, seeing all those clips made me really feel like I missed out. And I think that if this year is anything like next year, the Oscars will be worth watching again, So yeah, Trey, I'm gonna go with you. I think that it should have been nominated for more. But hey, we'll take what we can get at this point. I mean, I know giant monster movies aren't really taken very seriously by the Academy, so I think we should just I don't want to say just shut up and be happy with what we got, but just, I guess, for lack of better words, just at least we got something. Now, will I think it will I think it win? Maybe. I think it's got a pretty good shot. I mean, I don't know if you saw the clip when they were announcing the nominations, but it got the loudest applause. It got a couple woos and whoops in there, and then right after Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, just sort of yeah, cool. Thanks for showing up. So I think based off that reaction, it's got a solid chance. Do I want it to win? Yes. And that is largely because I am not looking forward to the just tidal wave of fanboy nerd rage that'll hit social media if it doesn't win.
You have a great point there. That
oh
will
my
happen
God, that is going to happen for sure.
If
that happens,
the Academy.
If that happens, I am logging off for at least 2 weeks and retreating to a bomb shelter. The fallout is going to be insane. But I think we should just be happy that it won. It got nominated, and even if it doesn't win, the nomination is still an honor in and of itself. To me, just because some people are walking away with a little statue, that's not really validation that your movie is amazing. Like, you're at the Academy Awards. Like, that is enough validation to show that your work is considered among the best the industry has to offer, to even be considered. Yeah, I mean, yeah, sure. Everybody wants their movie to win an Oscar. I get it. But I think a lot of people overlook the importance of a nomination. You know?
Agree. I mean, it says a lot, right? When you get nominated. I mean, that
sure.
in itself is a huge honor. I mean, not everyone gets nominated that deserves it either. But I think it's important that they at least recognize the film of its stature, and even that recent what was it? I think it was just the Emmys or something like it was one of the previous awards that they do that is kind of close to
Golden Globes. I think it
Golden
was
Globes. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm not really much of an award show guy. Just like
neither
the
am
Oscars.
It's always, you know, to me they always pick like movies that no one really knows, and every now and then you get one that you're like, oh yeah, congrats. But for the most part, it's always very political, and to me, it's just like I just want entertainment rather than the weirdness that goes on.
I just want to watch the Oscars. I want the Oscars to be about celebrating movies and not be like, oh my God, did you see what the host did, or did you see this crazy thing? Like, all right, yeah, that's cool for like that's fun for like maybe a week afterwards, but then it's just like, all right, well, this was supposed to be a serious award show about celebrating the art of film. Like, why is the host trying to shove like an environmentalist message down our throat or whatever, or whatever bullshit? Like, why is Will Smith fucking squaring up against Chris Rock?
Right.
Although I will admit, I will admit that was actually kind of funny.
We all watched it, right? We all thought that was crazy when the Fresh Prince did that.
Yeah, I'm pro wrestling for that. What the hell?
Yeah, but yeah, no, But to close off by saying, and then I'll let everyone else go. I think that if the fans get upset if this loses, they probably should take some notes from the crew and everybody who was celebrating in that video. Because, I mean, I could be wrong, but even if they do lose, I guarantee you that those people will still be celebrating and will still be happy. You know, I would like to think that they're not going to be like, we didn't win. Fuck the Oscars. Like there's no, they're like, we should have won. We were the right move to win. I think they'll probably still be fucking partying, as for all we know. And all the fans will be like, yeah. Like, guys, calm down. It's going to be okay.
I mean, the truth is everything they achieved has been amazing, you know, just with the success in the box office.
Yes, exactly.
And, you know, just even when they were at the Golden Globes, all the actors that were like going up to them and be like, dude, this movie was amazing, to the point where they got invited to go to Lucasfilms and show their movie to that entire crew. Like,
was that where they were?
If I heard correctly, I think it was at the where's George Lucas's place called, Corey? It's like Lucas.
What, Skywalker Ranch? Or
Skywalker Ranch, thank you.
No, I was talking about because I saw a bunch of pictures of the director and everybody at some events. I didn't know that was the Golden Globes.
Yeah, it was the Golden Globes, and then they were invited to go to Skywalker Ranch after to show their movie to Dave Filoni and basically the entire Star Wars crew. So yeah, it's getting the recognition from their peers in Hollywood, and you know what? Sometimes
that's my fucking point.
It's
accomplished so much. So at this point, does it really matter if the crew walks away with the little golden statue? I mean, yeah, it would be great. It would be fucking fantastic. But at the same time, it wouldn't be the end of the world if they didn't. You know, this movie has already accomplished so much. Like at this point, an Oscar is just a little something special to add on top.
Agreed. Koji, your thoughts, my man, about Godzilla Minus One getting nominated?
Yes, Joker's wild. I agree.
I agree with a lot of what our boy Kaiju Junkie was saying. I do feel it's worth like at least best foreign film and maybe direction. But yeah, I agree with everything you said, dog, because a celebration of film is what's missed. I don't mind if there's something in the heart of people who have a speech. That's cool. But overall, it should be a celebration of film, because I do remember once upon a time, during being a filmmaker, seeing the awards, and I would get inspiration to do better or strive for that goal. Sometimes I don't feel that's the case, but it is a win to be recognized To get respect, I think, is more valuable than a trophy. You know, to have people recognize the hard work you did with the budget you had, to be on the scale level of other films that had a bigger budget, that speaks a lot. That's ingenuity and creativity. That is something that I feel is very rare right now. Everything's trying in the industry and is trying to push out fast movies, quickest way to get special effects, use AI for this. The technicality of hard worked filmmaking, I think, needs recognition. And I feel that this is a win for that, not just for kaiju films, but just for films in general. So I'm really happy that they got nominated.
They are sticking it
Win
to
or
the
lose.
business. Like the fact that this movie was only made on like 10 mil, and
Right?
Hollywood is making stinker after stinker with like fucking 20, 40, 50
100
million
mil.
dollar. Yeah, like all these gigantic budgets, and here comes Godzilla barreling through the industry, and they pretty much spent like $2 and a little bit of fucking pocket lint on this movie.
Yeah.
In comparison, you know?
And this is also more vindication for the direction they could go with the sequel if they do -2. And it's like, oh, okay, so we won't. Hopefully, they stay in the quality narrative of where they're going, because they did drop Easter eggs in the end, and I'll save that for when we break that down.
Yeah.
So, it's just good. It's a win already. That's how I see it.
Agreed, brother. Super Bro Corey, your thoughts about
Yeah. I agree with a lot of what's been said already, and I really like what Butler says here, which is Toho didn't make for the academies. They made this masterpiece for the fans, and we embraced it and loved it. They achieved everything they wanted. Look, they made a sub 10 million movie, and it exploded. It's over 100 million now, something like that. It's absolutely insane what they've accomplished. So, the recognition for the Oscar is really nice, and I think they should win it, but I think we all can agree that these, award shows are really political, and it's kind of like basically Rotten Tomatoes to me in a lot of ways. So they kind of pick and choose, who they want to be there, but just to be who's going to win, but just to be named is still respectable. So. I think they're happy about it, and I'm glad. I'm happy for them. I hope they win, but we'll see what happens.
Out of curiosity, is anyone going to go check out the minus color version in the final week?
I'll try. I love how they were talking about. I've seen a couple news articles that have been like, they had to go back and meticulously rework each scene to put it in black and white. I'm like, did they, or did they just open the project file back up and slide the saturation bar down and boost the contrast a little bit?
Right. Yeah.
I kid. I'm sure they actually did put a lot of work into it, but I can't help but make that joke.
That's
funny
probably
that you
double
said that,
check.
because
Go ahead, Corey.
That's funny that you said that, Kaiju, because when I was thinking about making some shorts for it, Toho completely blocked them. That's exactly what I did. I basically took, footage from the trailers and stuff like that, changed it all the way down. Like, can't wait to see it like this,
Dude, it's crazy. When I think it was Tenet. What was that Christopher Nolan movie where things moved backwards? Was that Tenet?
Tenet.
Yeah. When that was nominated for an award, some guy made a joke, Tenet winning Best Visual Effects, and he just opened it up in a Premiere file and just hit the reverse button. That's kind of what I feel like is happening with Godzilla -1 minus color.
Right. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Well, are you guys ready to kind of go in and kind of break down Monarch Legacy of Monsters as a season? Not quite so much the each episode, but to give our general thoughts about what they got wrong, where they got things right, where they could improve, and then Corey and I will talk about our scores and how they've changed over time, and then maybe if they do happen to approve a season 2, which they have not green-lighted yet, which to me is a bit surprising just by so far the numbers they have suggested with the Monarch. It seems like viewing-wise it's done actually pretty well, but my guess is part of their hesitation was the cost. I think they're really waiting to see, like, okay, what's the budget going to be this next, round if we do decide to continue it, and where do we go from here after Godzilla calling the New Empire, especially. So, let's go ahead. Let's start off. I feel like Corey and I, there was a couple of episodes when we were reviewing them, we ended on like the part we hated the most, and it kind of messed up our scores quite a bit. We talked about so much about what we did like, and then we would be like, oh, but wait, they did this one thing and it was awful. I cannot get behind this. And all of a sudden it became a huge, just like, oh, well, now we're ended on a downer, and here we are supposed to rate this scene. So it kind of messed up our scores in some aspects of it. So this round, we'll switch it up. We'll talk about cons first, then pros, to switch it up and see how that works for us, if it kind of balance things out a little more. Corey, can you go to the next slide, please? I don't know about you, y'all, but in terms of cons for me, we called it the post-G-Day crew. Kate, May, or whatever her, Korra, and Kentaro, they started out strong for me, but they got worse and worse and worse to the point where they were really unbearable for me. And the only thing that was kind of holding it together was Shaw and Tim every now and then. What's your thoughts? Nick, tell me, man, was this group the worst for you too?
Dude, I mean, Shaw was the duct tape holding this car together, this Oldsmobile junker car of a crew together. Now, I've talked a lot about this show on social media and all that stuff, and I'm taking a very centralist view of this show. I thought it was fine. I didn't think it was spectacular. I didn't think it was terrible. It's just right down the middle. It's all right. The Kentaro, May, and Kate, I couldn't agree more. Like, they did start off very strong, but after a certain point, I think after they left Alaska is when I really just started to be like, all right, I don't care anymore. And that goes for the show in general. Like, this show, what I like to call it, canyons, where the first few episodes really strong, and the middle, and then the last couple episodes strong as well. It really roller coasters. But yeah, I really don't have anything else to say, like, besides that they started off strong and they started off with promise towards the middle, and towards the end I was like, all right, go back to
curiosity, where do you think they went wrong with them? Like, because they started strong, and I feel like you're like, okay, like they have something good going on here, and then all of a sudden, like you said, it kind of happens after episode 3 when they're in Alaska. It just goes downhill and it never comes back.
I feel like I don't know. I just don't know how to answer that, because for me the answer is just something as simple as I just struggled to get invested with them. And I guess maybe because like their stories, especially Kate's story, was sort of written poorly. Like in episode 5, when we saw like her backstory with her relationship with her girlfriend, that is all we saw. Like, we did not get any, like, did her girlfriend survive G-Day? Did she die? Like, it was like wasted character development, I feel. Kentaro was always just sort of there, like in the background, twiddling his thumbs, like, hey guys, I'm here too, not really contributing much.
He was very much a third wheel.
Yeah, and May, she was really only there just to give us an excuse to have like a side story in episode like 7 and 8, where they have to, go to Seattle to save her, and which I think really didn't I really didn't think added much to the overall show, because like while all that was happening, I'm just like, what's the point of this? I really don't care. Like, okay, she corrupted she exposed the company she was working for. All right, cool. Can we get back to like why we're here? We're looking for Kate and Kentaro's dad. I thought that was the point. Oh, and that also reminds me about Kate's writing. I feel like she has, because I talked about this on my podcast, she has mood swings like a freaking teenager, bro. I can't tell whether she likes or hates people, because remember when they were in the desert, May was like, oh, the reason why Monarch found us is because I sold us out, and she's like, oh, you bitch, like, how could you do this to us? Never talk to me again. And then the next episode, she's like, oh my god, she's been kidnapped, we gotta go save her, she's my best friend in the world. Like, what? I thought you, like, 5 minutes ago you told her to go fuck herself, now all of a sudden you care? What changed?
And then it turned into love, or at least some type of flirting going on.
I don't even know what's going on here, bro. Like, these characters are written so, like, all over the place. I can't keep up. Just bring me back to my what do you guys call them, the Legacy Crew in the 1950s?
Yeah, the Legacy Crew.
Bring me back to the Legacy Crew, dude. I want to see, like, the backstory of Monarch and how they grew into the organization they are today and all the hurdles they had to go through. Like, give me some, like, post Operation Skull Island. Like I want to know what happened after Skull Island when it was proven that, okay, Bill Randa was right. We got to start taking Monarch seriously again.
Yeah. I mean, they could have even gone off the comic that they did. I think is it what? Birth of Kong. That would have been a better, like, kind of modern story if they wanted to flip between the Legacy group in the 50s, 60s, and then the kind of the 90s group with Kong and Skull Island. I feel like that would have been a much better story.
Yeah, it's just like I don't know. I said this a bit the last time I was on with you guys. I just loved their storyline a lot better. The fucking Scooby-Doo and the gang over here, they just didn't do it for me. Like, they're written poorly. Kate, I just couldn't get into her. Kentaro, couldn't get into him. And I just want to say for the record, and I feel like this should go without saying, but unfortunately in this fandom it can't. It's not because of Kate's sexuality at all. I know when that was dropped, everybody had a big problem with it. That has nothing to do with it. It's just that I feel like the writers had no idea what they wanted to do with Kate. I don't know, man.
And that's fair, because there was a big outburst of that. So many people thought it was like a woke thing, and we talked about it where we were like, it's fine because it's in San Francisco. You kind of expect that type of culture and that type of thing going on.
Okay, good. I'm glad I'm not the only one who was thinking that.
Right? Yeah. But not only that, it was just like when they revealed it, it was like, okay, like that's part of her story. That's fine. And like, okay, you realize she's as bad as her father because she did basically the same thing, cheating. So they're doing a bit of reflection there, and then
people freaked out about that too. I had no idea that this fandom cared so much about adultery and being pure.
To me,
very interesting.
Yeah, Koj, go ahead, because I know you were wanting to talk about this post G-Day crew as well, in terms of just kind of the weaker side of the writing in terms of this show.
Yeah, they got on my nerves for two reasons. Oh, there's my finger right there. They got on my nerves for a lot of reasons. I like the Legacy crew mostly because it doesn't matter who they are or what they are, but they're like Trinity, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, whatever. Is that they had a mission, which was to find answers to questions or make questions and then find answers. But we have our post G-Day crew. They had a lot of questions, and they weren't sure if they wanted answers or not, but they needed to try, and that became their mission. It was like everything good about the Legacy crew upside down, because the main thing is the audience really needs to know the goal of each character or each team, and the post G-Day crew, their goals kept flip-flopping and kind of contradicted their whole drive, and that's what killed it the most for them, because every time they had a revelation, it didn't follow up or go somewhere else, and they kept focusing on it came off very emo to me. I'm not a fan of that, and personally, I apologize to the actor Kentaro, but he bugged the shit out of me, because he's one of those actors where all the emotions is in his face and his whole arm and everything's stiff. He's like a stand-up Lincoln log. Okay, I dated myself right there. But it's like all the emotions was in his face and his arms were stiff. Now, I'm not saying you have to be overly animated. I would say Charlie Chaplin, Jim Carrey, freaking George Clooney, Harrison Ford. They act and you see it in their body. They carry themselves. They use it, or they'll do a gesture like, well, why don't you use the couplings over there, or something like that. There's very natural characterization in their whole body, and that dude, all his acting was in his face. One of my theater directors a long time ago, he said, I hate people who just act here and then they just throw their hands to the side. It was jarring. I was gritting my teeth the whole time, and his character not going anywhere made it worse. So not a fan of Kentaro all around, including the actor. No offense, I'm sorry, I apologize, but you know, good, you got a good role. But I feel they dropped the ball. I think the last redeeming moment for post G-Day crew was when they found Godzilla and the father. And the fact that the father was seen in the intro like half the time, and you don't even give him a backstory episode, and we just get multiple. They went too crazy with backstories with the post G-Day crew. The backstory with Korra, Kate, and Kentaro could have been finished and done by episode 4 and go on. I think they stretched that out too long, and that's something I did worry about the show, because to have visual effects, there's a certain price tag for each second of frame that you got going on. And to do a big kaiju film in essentially 5 mini movies, because the first 2 were directed by one director, 3 to 4 was one director, and so on. So if you ever watch the show, I suggest watch it in 2 episodes at a time if you're not going to binge the whole thing. But yeah, that disconnect, I didn't really like these guys at all, and I felt like they were bait for the younger generation, and the legacy cast was bait for the older generation. And because I have a weird sneaky feeling that people who put this together weren't really sure who their audience was, and I feel that they were trying to sprinkle on to try and please everybody, and I think that lost sight of the whole goal on that group of characters end. And yeah, not a fan of them. They had promised, but they dropped the ball episode 5 or 4 or 6, somewhere around there.
I've always said after.
Go ahead, Nick.
Oh no, I was just saying, like, I always say that after they left Alaska, I think is when Kentaro, May, and Kate really just sort of like stopped being interesting. You know,
I agree.
It's just the writing was bad. Like Koja, you just said, you know, Kentaro, emotionless actor. Just I don't know. I don't know how to. I'm frustrated. I didn't like them. They had so much potential too. Like, fuck.
Well, they had such a lovely story in the beginning where it was really about dealing with, their tragedy and their PTSD and like overcoming trauma, and that was like a cool element.
Yeah, they should went with that.
Okay,
be there for each other. Be like consults to each other, brother and sister.
They had moments.
Oh my god,
that was their strongest parts in the show. And then when they got repetitive, it's like they didn't know what to do with them, but they were like, "Well, shit, we have them in 10 episodes. Let's just repeat ourselves here." You know. So it was basically this: I love you, I hate you. We're trying to find dad. No, screw dad. Wait, we're trying to find dad. No, screw dad.
They were all over the place. It wasn't just Kate who was like, I can't decide whether or not I like people or hate people. It kind of was everybody. And you know, I did, you know, as much shit as I give the post G-Day crew for how uninteresting I thought they were, I did like. There were some aspects I did like. Right now I'm gonna like talk about what I did like about them. I did like how May was able to overcome like her PTSD and like how it was a weakness. I kind of wish they did a little bit more with that, because like she got over it pretty quick. So, but how they would have done more with it, I don't know. But yeah, no, I do think that aspect was done really well. Because, you know, it was it's one of the few times where, you know, you see a character is seeing Godzilla in their head. So it makes sense that this is like a trait of hers.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly,
I feel like I'm not making sense.
No,
you're making sense, man.
Sense, Nick. Seriously, dude. Like you're right on. Where like seeing them in a way, that's what made them relatable and almost inspiring, because like that's what was driving them in the beginning. Is you wanted to see them get better. You wanted them to see them overcome their trauma and become stronger characters. And in a way, they digressed more than their characters progressed.
Mhm.
So it was very disappointing to see, especially with how they just kept repeating themselves, going in loops almost. And you're just like, where are we going? And I think Koji is absolutely right. They didn't have a mission. It was like they did have a mission, but then they kept flipping on it, and
they kept sidetracking.
Yeah.
Like I feel with the whole May side story of having to go rescue her in Seattle, I feel that should have been scrapped to focus on Hiroshi. Because I don't know if it was
that's good call,
you guys, or on my podcast. Because again, I've talked about this show so fucking much. God help me.
Like and subscribe. Gotta catch up on all that.
I know. I just feel that they kind of really did a quickie with Hiroshi's character and backstory and why he does what he did. Like what his motives are, because remember when Shaw came back from Access Mundi in the 80s, Hiroshi was kind of like, yeah, I really don't give a fuck where you were. Like this is Monarch is the family curse. I don't want answers. I'm just gonna sweep this under the rug and stick you in a retirement home. And now all of a sudden he's trying to find answers. He's like, I'm trying to prove my parents weren't crazy. Like, okay, where did this change of heart come from? Like, why? They really didn't talk about that much. And yeah, Joker's Wild, the trauma element, it kind of, I feel like it added, it shined a light on what it's like living in a post G-Day world. Because, it sort of humanizes, I would say, like humanizes all the millions of like extras that you don't really think about in a Godzilla movie. Here we have somebody, Kate is somebody who saw Godzilla up close and witnessed the Godzilla attack firsthand. And now she's here and we see what that really does to a person. We saw it in -1-2 with Shikishima, and now like we see it with Kate. So I really like what they did there. Like, what is it like surviving a Godzilla attack? And that's that's something Kate's character that I think they did really well. Everything else was just sort of
Yeah, I agree. Super Bro, what was your thoughts about the post G-Day crew?
They're the best part of this show, man.
Sorry, that tinfoil hat's no longer working. Take it off.
Corrupting his brain.
Too much aluminium.
No, but seriously, I liked them the first few episodes, like Kaiju Junkie said, and Koji had mentioned that post G-Day reaction to being, having family loss and just the chaos of it all. Episodes 1, 2, and 3 did a fantastic job of that. But as after episode 3, man, 4, they go downhill big time, in my opinion. I dislike the entire post G-Day cast of this trio here. May is the least worst out of them. So if I had to order them, so May or Cora gets the bronze medal for being on my hate list. He did have some interesting arcs. I kind of differ in the sense of the side of like I like that Apex plug with her. I think they could have done it slightly different, and I think they could have probably used Kintaro's and Kate's. Kintaro and Cora's episode to be a little bit more Hiroshi backstory driven instead of just them the entire time. I would have liked to have seen what was going on with them, but she had that kind of conspiracy theory, vibes going there. Silver is definitely Kintaro. Kintaro started off, strong, kind of well put together, like he getting all this drama and, like, holy crap, my life is just flipped upside down. My stepsister, my dad's cheating on my mom, all this stuff. But let's find dad. Let's figure out what's happening. There's a drive to him. And then he completely lost it, just completely lost his drive and became a nuisance the rest of the time. in the series. A wasted space.
They really put him on the back burner.
Yes, they put him on the back burner. They're like, you're kind of the third wheel now. So you went from kind of like being an important role, one of Hiroshi's kids, to now you're just third wheeling it, bud. And the gold star for the most toxic character ever in the show goes to Kate. Kate, congratulations, you were the worst. She reminded you. She kind of reminds she started off. I like that again, that aspect of post G-Day trauma and everything like that. Holy crap! We got to run to the subway station because Godzilla might be coming. I loved all that emotions and such like that, but then it got freaking crazy. She went like she's supposed to be an adult, right? She has a job. Where she's a teacher, she's in charge of kids and such like that. But she is basically a high school student. She kind of reminds me of Taylor Swift in some ways, a 34-year-old singing about high school songs, like what the hell, that's the kind of drama she was dealing with the entire time. I was getting so annoyed and fed up with her. I was like, dude, you need to stop. You're extremely toxic. You're kind of a horrible person. I definitely
you're unfaithful.
Exactly. You're kind of Swifty Kate.
Yeah.
Well, she does take after her father. Being like father, like daughter.
Yeah, she does.
Family. She has 2 girlfriends. So
she didn't know until after all that. So she's still kind of a horrible being without really knowing her dad's that horrible.
Oh.
Yeah, he wasn't there that much and such like that, but just absolutely wild with how toxic she was. How she was. It was always like episode 5. Was it 4? Yeah, episode 4 with her. It was just like a pity party for her. It was just straight garbage. It was all about her. She was flip-flopping back and forth. She was the amount of flip-flopping she did. I hate Kate. I hate May. I like May. I hate May. I like May. I hate Kentaro. I like Shaw.
Screw you, Shaw. We're gonna follow you, Shaw. We're trying to help you. She was inconsistent.
She was very inconsistent, and she it was getting annoying. And it constantly took me back. She is a random. Her grandparents are amazing human beings, and you're a piece of shit. What happened? It's absolutely wild. So, did not like the post G-Day cast really much at all. So, specifically being Kate. So, yeah, that's kind of I'll stop shitting.
I mean, it's fair because to me, this was definitely, they messed up on the focus. To me, it almost would have been better if they switched the timing or the screen time a bit, where it was the legacy cast getting the amount of screen time that the post G-Day crew, and then the post G-Day crew got the short amount of time of the legacy cast, where they're not always in every episode. Because I don't know who did the writing on the post G-Day, on the legacy crew, but the chemistry was there. Just even the kind of the mission, the story driving it was far more interesting and consistent, than the post G-Day crew.
Yeah. And the way they kind of wasted episode 5, that was they showed this backstory to Kate, and it ended up really not meaning anything. It would seem like they were just pushing bullshit and trying to fill us. 4 and 5 was just filler episodes that really didn't drive the story at all. So that's where I was getting annoyed.
Can I interrupt with? I think they had a missed opportunity to expand on Kate's backstory with her girlfriend and the woman she was cheating on her with, because like I said before, like father, like daughter. I think she could have done something with her realizing oh my god, I'm kind of like my father. My father was cheating on my mother. I'm cheating on my girlfriend. They really sort of just wrote off her backstory as all right, this is what she was like before G-Day. Moving on. I think there was a missed opportunity there to sort of really a little bit of character development.
And she's still, and there was not, exactly, and there was still no development on her side, like there, she's, stealing Kintaro's girl right in front of him, so it was wild.
Yeah, like you're stealing your brother's girl. Come on, that's not cool.
And
that's not one of my sisters. No way.
Right? I mean, and to me, that was like a clear depiction that she's not growing as a character. She's not growing as a person. She became a worse person. Her brother's literally like. It would have been one thing if it was a natural progression where we saw, I don't know, like them. To me, it would have been a natural progression if it made it into season 2, something like that. But the fact that in that same episode we started from "screw you, May," thanks for the ticket, and then she gets captured, and all of a sudden it's like, you don't want to know where she is. Where is she? We got to go save her. And then it's like, oh my god, I love you, and it's like, what are we doing here? Like, that made no sense. She flipped-flopped in a day. Some major emotions.
Not even a day, 5 minutes.
Sure.
Showed up, she's like, fuck you, May. They got to the airport. She's like, okay, I care all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Yes. Because when she cared about something, she had these strong convictions. Like, we all have to get on the same page. We all got to do this, like rally the team together. And you're like, okay. And then the next episode, she just flip-flopped on Shaw, or she flip-flopped on Kintaro, or, like all these different things. It's like, whoa, we were like, sticking together. Like, let's drive. And I love what Bama Knight said. He brought up what Josh said, legacy of monsters, the humans are the monsters. That was the only kind of redeeming thing that made me feel like, okay, I can hear what you're saying, Josh.
When you look at it that way, when it's the legacy of monsters and the humans are also the monsters, like, yes, it is an interesting storytelling, but when it's repetitive and you're in a loop, every step forward these characters they take 2 steps back in the same episode constantly. It wasn't just like, you can understand if it happens once, but when it happens 3 times, you're kind of like, what are we doing here? One of my
shame on you.
Yeah, and one of my biggest ones with Kintaro, it was literally Kintaro's idea to go find Shaw to help them find their father, or to at least find out what's going on. And then in that next episode, when they finally do find him, not 5 minutes later, he's like, who are you to tell me what to do? Like, why are you giving us orders? And it's like, you're the one who seeked him out. Like, what do you mean he's not the one giving orders? It was very much that all the way through with these characters, and a missed opportunity, like you said, Nick, without mission, like you said, Koj, and just Corey, like you said, the consistency of them was just not great. Was there any other major cons? I mean, to me, this was the biggest one, and it was a majority of the show, so it really took it down.
Not giving Tim more screen time. He was the only, besides Shaw, he was the only character in the modern timeline who was worth watching. I fucking loved Tim.
That and Hiroshi.
Hiroshi too, yeah.
Hiroshi was interesting, but it was like they were, I think someone said it in the chat, it was like they were afraid to get into him. Like, it was because it was an awkward situation. It was like, how do you redeem that, or just how do you peel back the layers on him cheating? And to me, it was like, it was easy. It was simple. Clearly, this dude had a traumatic childhood. He lost his dad, his real dad. He lost his mom. He lost his uncle, Shaw. He lost his father eventually. The trauma and his ideology of family, and what Monarch especially has had a role in that, made sense for his character's downfall and beliefs, and really not looking at family in a way that, I don't know, that probably most people would. So it was an easy story to go into, but it was like they had that little portion in episode 9 at the very end where Kintaro's trying to get the answers that we want as an audience, and they just skipped it. Like, it was like, dude, that's really what you're going to worry about right now? The world is in fire. Well, according to Monarch, the world is fine. The portals are going down. The pressure of, these bursts of gamma rays are going down as well. Like, the world is really not in much peril, as, Hiroshi is leading to believe. So it's like the writers were literally just afraid to go into it and dive in, when they also left the story a plot hole, really, where Hiroshi tells Shaw to go screw himself in the 80s.
And that's why episode 4 was such a missed opportunity there, because That was the one where Kentaro May's backstory. They're still in Alaska, but they're trying to get out. We eventually find out that Hiroshi is still alive at the end due to the fresh pencil shavings. They could have, and in the backstory of Kentaro and May's storyline, the big thing is Kentaro didn't want to let Hiroshi down with him not liking his art. Well, it could have been like a side story of what Hiroshi was doing leading up to get there and everything like that. He didn't, the missed opportunity of, that was going to be the last time he thought he was going to see his dad ever again. So like there are so many missed opportunities for Hiroshi backstory. It's a bummer because Hiroshi is probably, one of the biggest characters in this show as far as terms of importance. Being
He's really the driving force behind everyone's motive.
He's the
Exactly,
one that
I was just about
bridged the
to
gap.
say.
He bridged the gap from the Legacy cast and the post G-Day cast. He was the gap there, the bridge. And if they would have focused on him a little bit more, maybe a lot more, that would have made the post G-Day cast maybe a little bit more bearable.
I also think, if I may jump in here, for the post G-Day crew, I think they should have been a duo. I think Korra should have been a recurring character, not a main character. And they should have gave because they needed someone familiar with technology, and you could have had Kentaro be an artist, and he's into the tech stuff, and maybe he got that with Korra, and that way Korra doesn't have to go on the adventure, and then she could kind of be still a spy for the other company, Apex, and then have more breathing room to explore these areas where they should have gone, and then Kentaro would have more meaning, and I feel like it wouldn't be an overfilled smoothie or something, and they should have had utilized more of a revelation and purpose for Kate to connect with family, because we found that in the very end her whole purpose was another confirmation that time has passed. Really, that's her main purpose, because then her grandmother realized she has a family and how much time has passed, and she was icing on the cake for that moment. I think that's her only purpose. So the way to get there, I think they should have gave her more of a reflection, when she found out her dad had cheated, she knows she's cheated, she has a brother. That brother-sister bond could have flourished more if they focused on that, of them getting to know each other, helping each other, then tie that to the father, then give the father more screen time. I think that could have been the best way to go about it and save them, but it is a huge mess with them, and we all felt it.
Yeah. And if I had to add one more set of cons, and they're light because I think if you read comics and any of the kind of extra movie stuff that they do in these universes, you always kind of know they're soft canon, and oftentimes they decanonize them anyways. But at the same time, when you're also decanonizing some of your movies in a sense, because even some of the websites leading, the movie websites, the whole Monarch classified website that they did, they talked about Serizawa and his family legacy in Monarch, and how he was one of the his dad was one of the founders, and Serizawa is nowhere to be heard of in the show except for once where they mentioned should we bring Serizawa into this, and they're like, no, I'm in charge. To not have any inkling, I almost thought, I'm totally spacing who the doctor's name was, but the one who was working on Monster Island on the gamma ray simulator, the Titan call, it would have been better if he was Dr. Serizawa, his father, to have that connection in there that explains Serizawa's legacy in Monarch itself. But really, they kind of decanonize that with our legacy crew, which it's fine, but it's one of those scenes, if you're really invested in this universe and you're buying all the books, all the comics, all the behind the scenes art books that they talk about these types of Easter eggs, you kind of scratch your head and go what, why? Did we not do our research? Are we not being consoled on this? Like, what's happening? So to me, that it kind of sucks that they did break canon a couple of times. Is it a huge deal?
That's my biggest gripe, though.
Yeah, you can go into that, Nick, if you want to.
Yeah, so poorly written characters aside, this show's biggest weakness, or my biggest problem with it, is that it just takes the continuity and lore of the show and just has a field day. Anything goes, retcons all up the wazoo. And I don't know. I just don't like it. I think if they do a season 2, I really, really, really hope they find a way to tie everything up nicely, make sure to make everything, make sense. And it's also why I wouldn't be upset if there is no season 2, because that just gives it more potential for them to just mess everything up even more,
That's fair.
I don't know.
Do you think anything's salvageable if they do a season 2 and they is there anything way they could fix it up?
I think they could do. I mean, this is really. I think they could do something interesting with May and tie her to Mechagodzilla, because I was half expecting them to do that, like in the last scene. Her boss would show up and just say, like, "I'd like to introduce you to somebody," and then Walter Simmons comes out and he tells her about like his plans to make Mechagodzilla, and it turns out May was one of the driving forces of bringing Mechagodzilla to life. I think that would have been really cool.
It's definitely something they could go maybe further into a season 2. But
I think if they do a season 2, then that'll probably happen, because Monarch, Apex on Skull Island, and if you remember in the credits of Godzilla King of the Monsters, there was that little newspaper clipping, and it said, "Blob, our source said that Monarch was building a giant mech on Skull Island." I'm like, oh, okay, well, maybe they could, tie it that way. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, they do kind of little Easter eggs there where they could suggest that there's something else going on. And we do know at one point, I think it's in episode 7, where Deputy Director DeVoe, like, actually, she calls Apex to speak with them, but you never know what happens in that conversation. So there's something there that they could go into. The Deputy Director, she was the one that she was kind of the jerk of Monarch, the head of it.
No, I was saying, like, which episode did she talk with Apex?
Oh, they reference it, I think, in episode 7. It's whichever one is with the real May, please stand up. You don't see her have a conversation. You just hear someone calls the CEO of, or whoever the.
I really like the new brand. It looks awesome. We'll be in touch. And then Apex.
Oh, that was I thought we were talking about Verdugo.
Yeah, Verdugo. Yeah, there's a scene where she's talking with May in her office, and they're telling her what they want May to do, how they want her to spy. And then the lady gets a call on her, on her phone, and someone's telling her, "Hey, Monarch Deputy Director,
okay, now I get it.
Is here to see you." And that's all they do. They don't show you what happens in that discussion.
Which that's actually a big theme that I was wondering about too, Trey, because and I think that's I want to see that drive a little bit more for season 2. Actually, what agreement did Verdugo make with Apex and May? When she left, she said they made a deal to work with a corporation we shouldn't trust, Apex. So, like, I think they will expand on that in the season 2, but we'll get more to that a little bit later. But while we're here, still on our post G-Day cast, we need maybe shed a little bit more, positivity towards them, and who could do it better than our boy Josh.
Hey. What's up, big fella? How you doing?
Hey,
Monarch Monsters.
How you doing, big fella?
Yeah,
I'll tag you in.
Are you rocking a Power Rangers shirt?
I saw that Lord Kojay and Bat Channel and Super Bro Corey have a little Super Sentai going on.
Join us.
So sorry I'm late. I have been listening. I was running errands. I was at Target. I was listening along. Shout out to Beyond the Night for giving me a little shout out and a call back. But yeah, post G-Day crew, I get the sentiments from y'all.
Well, which I mean, I'll just ask this before we go into the pros, but did you have any cons of them, or were you were digging? I know you especially, you were the one that kind of kept us grounded, because there was moments where we were like, I can't believe they did this, and you're like, no, hold on, there's something deeper going on here, and honestly, it helped to have you kind of break down the psychology of these characters, their trauma, and sometimes their immaturity, and kind of put it a different light on it, that whether it fully worked for us or not, but it certainly helped explain them better. But I mean, that's part of the beauty of having you discuss it, but the show didn't quite do it for us, in explaining it. But go ahead, Josh. What was your thoughts on post G-Day crew?
So I'm hearing what you guys say, and I totally get it. From my perspective as a entire show, I kind of feel like whoever the overall writer or the head writers were, I think there's a little bit of projection, in my opinion. This is called Legacy of Monsters, right? So I think, I agree with y'all. I do. I like the post G-Day crew is not as compelling. They're not as down to earth. They're not as with it as the legacy cast. I totally agree with that, but I think that's by design. I think there is and just from what maybe I'm going too into it and just seeing something that's not there, but I do think that it was intentional to show, how things aren't like they used to be these days in the present, how things are falling apart, how we need to get back to, a certain sentiment like in the old days. And I think that's a commentary on our generation and our society these days. That's what I kind of have taken from this show, and the mistakes that certain lead characters, flawed, very much lead characters. I know that we are introduced to Kate, right, as our main character. And I agree with she's not a likable person. She makes the stupid decisions, she's very toxic, and like Kaiju Junkie was saying, I was putting groceries away and I was listening and I was like, oh yeah, okay, get that, but I do think that could have been fleshed out a little more, of Kate realizing she's just like her dad, and so I think that is a flaw that they could have fleshed out even more. I guess for me, in my perspective, I was okay with the post G-Day crew being the way they are, because overall, for me, in my perspective, they were not meant to be they were not meant to outshine the legacy crew, in my opinion. We were supposed to be more rooted in those characters, right? So when we get to the point where older Shaw, Kurt Russell, and we get this character back, I think when we did our first episode 1 and 2 together, it was already like, Daddy's not dead. We're gonna find Daddy, and I think we were expecting things to move a little bit faster. I think we were all kind of expecting things to go along quicker than they did, and I do kind of get in the middle that it did. It was kind of like Philip, right? We're dealing with more psychological, in-depth things, going on with certain characters, and maybe we weren't a fan of those characters. We don't care what Kate's background is. We don't want to see how toxic he is, But for me, just my perspective in my field, I was like, "Ooh, this is interesting to me," because I think we're all flawed in some way. We all, kind of have different traumas that we might go through, and it's more about how do we get through those things in life every day. That's just kind of my perspective. There were moments for me that I did see Kate. Very, very small moments. It's hard to find. But Kate, I did see her being like, hey, let's go. Let's do, she was kind of more there for May in certain times than her own brother, right? And it's like, what the hell? But then she didn't really grow up with her brother, so she's not really bonded. It was kind of weird that there's a whole nother film. So it made sense to me, but the show is not perfect. I did feel like there was a little bit in the middle where it kind of it's not for everybody. It maybe was for me, but I could see how it's not for everybody.
You do bring up a good point, though, Josh, because if there's one thing I do where I appreciated what they did with the post G-Day crew, is at the very, very end, the very last episode, where Kate introduces Kentaro as her brother to her grandmother. Because to me, they finally came to this moment of, in the earlier the season, they were like constantly, well, you're not really my brother, you're the bastard, that, or you're the person that my father had this affair with. It was this gross kind of thing where none of them wanted to admit they were brother and sister, and then all of a sudden you see this change in them where they're finally, Kentaro cares about Kate. He's going out of his way to get more involved in Monarch, even though he didn't really want to, and to help find her, to help save her. And then you have this moment with Kate, like I said, with introducing him. And so it'll be interesting to see if they do decide to continue on with that group, to see where the relationship goes as brother and sister. Is it something that needs to be fleshed out more? I don't know. Or if even the audience would be accepting to it, with how it seems like a lot of people, just based off what I've seen on social media, talk about the post G-Day crew. They were definitely, it seemed like, the most controversial portion of the show. But sometimes that's good when you have a little bit of that controversy. It gets people talking, and it's social engagement in a way.
I think they have the potential to be likable in season 2, or at the very least a little less hateable.
Absolutely.
That's
I
right.
actually liked them better at the last 2 episodes. Like they were starting to get back on the right track again.
And I think that was partly because they had a mission again, but not only that, they kind of dropped some of the side drama that wasn't really needed, but it was like they added it in there, like Josh said, to kind of reflect some of the things that were going on in the Legacy crew, but it didn't quite work as well, I feel like. But it's very interesting takes all around. Oracle, thank you so much for that $5 super chat saying, amazing panel. The whole Monarch Monstars crew is here. You already know. I love these people. I love when we can have them on and talk about the things we love, which is Godzilla and MonsterVerse and other things that we enjoy. But Oracle, thank you so much for that $5 super chat. Corey, can you give Oracle a little something to say thank you?
Yeah, obviously I was super excited to see Josh pop up because I knew we were going to get the awesome post G-Day cast that puts us all in place a little bit. So I was so happy to have you here, Josh. And I think you're a calm guy. Let's go this way.
That's awesome. Let's talk about some of the pros now of the show. We've beaten it up for the last hour. It's time to give a little to ease it down on them a little bit and talk about what did work on the show, the things that helped help us be engaged and continue on each episode each week. And to me, some of the things I was really hoping for with this show was to really see what it was like in a post G-Day world. And while it wasn't always the main focus, there was definitely some episodes where they really tied it in, like the first episode. And then in other episodes, it was kind of more of a background, a setting, an environment where you could hear different commercials going on in the background, talking about different security systems in place, different protocols, or even how some people are profiteering on post G-Day and kind of
your Titan mansion today.
Exactly. There's so many of those scenes where I was like, for me, that was really cool because I wanted to see that. You kind of got this moment where you see what happens at the end of Godzilla 2014. You get a little bit in Godzilla King of the Monsters, but for the most part, it seems like we've adapted. Our Monarch has become more militarized and has all these outposts to really keep things in check. But then, now you're getting this actual reaction to the monsters. What did you guys think about that? Did that do anything for you to kind of see the post G-Day world?
Trey, obviously, I like what you're bringing up here. And before we dive too deep into that, I know Koji is going to have to step out here shortly. Unfortunately, sad days. But
I'm sorry,
wanted to give
guys.
OJ a second before he drops to just kind of give us overall thoughts and kind of going on with what you said, Trey.
Hey, thanks for giving me the big screen. Yeah, sorry, my phone's at 2%. My boy Zadra just got here, so I'm heartbroken to leave, but I have to get back to family because like this thing's. But real quick, the post GD world is what I wanted more expansion on, more of how the world around these people have become, rather than my earlier criticism of the post GD crew. I think if they delve more into what's going on in the world, I think we could see that, because I loved the beginning. We see like around every street corner there's like a bunch of like heavy artillery to take out a kaiju, and that there's safety measures to go through. I enjoyed all that. I kind of wish they focused more on that, and maybe just more Kentara's mom. But before my phone dies, I want to thank you all for having me on here. Pretty much anything y'all say I'm agree with, because I kind of know how we all are with the show. Josh, you're amazing. Kaiju Junkie, it's a pleasure to get to know you. My love to the Bat Channel, my love to the chat. This is freaking awesome. And yeah, if you want more of me, come by my channel. I'm doing some cool stuff with the Bat Channel with Super Sentai. But this has been an experience, and I'm most likely going to check out GVK real soon, because I kind of put on the back burner, but this show got me inspired, and you guys did as well, because I'm a Godzilla camp all the way. But much love to all you guys and the gorillas too. So yeah, thank you for having me on.
Great seeing you, brother. Have a good one with the family. Thanks for showing up, and we'll get you on for Godzilla -1. Subscribe to our boy KJ, because we're doing that Super Sentai watch parties, and he's doing some gaming streams. He's having a damn good time over on the Lord Koj show, and you just need to be a part of it. So do it. Subscribe to our boy Koj. We'll see you next time.
All right, I bid adieu. Much love, guys. God bless.
Later, man. Good seeing you again.
Likewise.
Nick, your thoughts about kind of seeing the post G-Day reaction?
Yes. All right. So yeah, you're definitely right. We've been very hard on this show for the past hour. It's kind of like that Simpsons meme, like stop, he's already dead.
Well, for all the people that did hate it, you got your hour in, and now we can talk about what was good.
Yeah, I think one of the things the show did very well, or could have done a little bit better, I feel, was showing what a post G-Day world looks like. And I think that's where sort of I feel episode 5 sort of gets a little more hate than it should, because I really loved the set design for that movie and the setting. I loved the aftermath of the battle in San Francisco. And not just so much post G-Day, but like leading up to post G-Day, like with the flashbacks of like Kate going to her job and like the principal coming and saying, we're monitoring the situation. We're going to evacuate the school, be ready. And then they showed a little bit of the evacuation and a little bit of the panic. I think that was really cool to see, because like I mentioned before, I think one of the things they did right with Kate was they sort of shine a light on what it's like to be like an NPC, for lack of better words, caught up in the middle of a Godzilla attack. Because we watch these movies and we don't really think twice about the people who are caught in the crossfire between these two giant monsters fighting. And that's really what that's a strong point that this show had. And it's sort of, with the post G-Day, it sort of shined a light on that a little bit more. I know I'm using shined a light on. I know I'm using that way too much, but yeah, no, I think that's what the show did really well. I wish they would have done more with it. I liked how they did with it in episode 1, where like Tokyo's got all these turrets, like these missile launchers everywhere, and showing how people are coping in a post G-Day world with the people living down in the subway in the room, and just like just sort of showing what like happened afterwards. Because really the only thing we got was in the beginning of King of the Monsters, where they're looking for Andrew, and that those newscasts where it's showing like, oh, everybody wants the Titans to be gone, oh, the massive die-offs, it could be results of trying to find Godzilla. And then that's pretty much it. We don't really get a good chance to look at a world post G-Day. And I think that's something that needed to be answered in the MonsterVerse, and I'm thankful we got it in Monarch.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. They kind of teased it a little bit in like King of the Monsters, and obviously, with having Apex in Godzilla versus Kong, you kind of can see how some people reacted to no longer being the alpha species on the planet anymore, and where that kind of goes. And you can kind of expect some of those reactions, but it was cool to see how some people were handling it, whether they were abusing it, taking advantage of it, or the trauma kicking in, all the conspiracies, like in that first episode where she's driving in the cat, Kate's driving in the cat with that guy, and he's like, oh, it never happened, I did a podcast on it, like you could listen, and it was cool to see. Yeah, it was cool to see all those different elements that would totally be true in a realistic world. You could totally see that being a part of it. And I appreciated that element, and I agree, while it was a great, intriguing part of the show, it was definitely something that they could have, if they wanted to, they could have fleshed it out even more, and it probably would have made it a stronger show.
I think it could have had its own episode, like the lead up to the Godzilla attack. You've seen it millions of times in zombie media, like the Last of Us TV show earlier in 2023, where they showed the build, like the outbreak, day one, and the initial panic. I think that would have that sort of thing would have translated well to a kaiju TV show. Showing holy shit, these giant monsters are coming. Everyone run for their lives, basically. So that should have been something that could have been fleshed out. But at the very least, I'm glad we got to see a little bit of it.
Yeah. Josh, your thoughts about getting that post G-Day world reaction?
Everything I agree with everything that Kaiju Junkie says, and I'm sorry I'm late, Kaiju Junkie. I actually, just so you know, I'm kind of more or less a noob to Godzilla lore in general.
Yeah.
I appreciate your perspective, and I'm mad that I wasn't here earlier, because one of the things y'all were talking about is the continuity breaks, and as somebody who's kind of not aware of that, like Corey, I wanted to know. So your issues, I'll definitely go back and talk about, see if y'all talked about that on the replay. But everything you're saying as far as what we liked, 100%, I really liked, I love that analogy, the NPC type of perspective of what this world is like. Because for me, I love, out of the MonsterVerse, Godzilla vs. Kong is my favorite, right? And for that, I was all about the kaiju, the titans, fighting. I didn't really care about those human characters. So this show has kind of changed this, and -1, which we can talk about it at a later time, but have brought me into a different appreciation for the Godzilla, IP, because now it seems to me like it's striking a chord, and I'm getting a different perspective. So these characters, how they're coping with this world was really interesting from the get. You're talking about with this podcast and the drills, and how are you supposed to live. And I think for me, they gave me a little bit enough to kind of go along with these characters in this journey. I would have liked more Kaiju Junkie, like you're saying.
It should have been one of those episodes where we wasted with the May and the company she worked for. That episode should have been designated to at the very least, I would have loved to have seen what happened to Kate after the bridge. Did she immediately get rescued, or did she have to go back to the city and endure more of the Godzilla and Muto battle?
Right.
Even like you said, Nick, a little bit earlier, to show us, I think we kind of inferred that it sounded like her girlfriend did die, but it would have been almost better to have shown us, because it would have been that other theme to really show her trauma, her guilt that was weighing her down as a character, and it would have just added that extra layer to her that would have made her a little more maybe understandable of why she is the way she is. But yeah, you have some wonderful points.
Yeah, or at the very least, she survived the bridge, but she's got to go back into the city because there's nowhere else to go, and she's trying to find her girlfriend. And I mean, whether she finds her or not, I don't know. I feel like yes, they touched on it, but I feel they could have done a lot more with it. Like a lot of stuff in the show, they could have done more with what it was like actually on G-Day, what it was like post G-Day. Just a lot of missed potential that if we do get a season 2, I hope they'll touch on more.
Yeah, I definitely get that. I liked what I saw, but like I do agree we could have gotten more for sure. And I do think that like seeing little elements that were similar to like a Godzilla versus Kong, where like, you know, Corey, your tinfoil hat is reminding me of certain characters.
He's still wearing it. I love it. I love the commitment.
Yes, it's definitely like giving me flashbacks. And I did like how some of those elements, even though we're in 2015, were kind of still, you can see how we're getting to that timeline, right? And in Godzilla versus Kong. So yeah, that's kind of what I
dig it. Let's go ahead and address our $2 super chat from our boy, the amazing Webhead. Said episode 5 at least shows the ruins of San Francisco, which sends chills. I agree.
Yes.
That was when we talk about our scores, this will be very interesting because this one caught me off guard a little bit with even how Super Bro reacted the second time to it, because in rewatching that particular episode, like Nick said, the set was incredible. I love seeing kind of an aftermath San Francisco where it's just completely destroyed. It's just a cool way of showing the aftermath of Godzilla and the Mutos and what has become of that city. We see what happens later in King of the Monsters of how it starts to grow vegetation because of the radiation of the creatures, but it was cool to see the immediate reaction after, within a year. So thank you so much to the amazing Webhead for that $2 super chat. I agree with you 100%. Corey, can you give the amazing Webhead a little something to say? Thank you.
Absolutely. This is how Godzilla responds when he ruins cities.
He loves it. Yeah, he enjoys it very much. Corey, your thoughts about seeing a post G-Day world?
Oh man, dude, I would have, I do love that stuff. I love the, like episode 1 did a really good job showing some of that. I would have loved to seen more, obviously. Like, I love that, like, how they're, she's chilling on the plane and all of a sudden they start spraying them down for pesticides and such like that, like just the bridge that had all the missiles on it and the tinfoil hat cap cane and everything like that, saying, like, it was CGI. I tell you what, if Japan got ruined by Godzilla right now, I'd be the first to come out here and be like, yeah, it's probably CGI. Tinfoil cap cane. So, I do enjoy that. The TPP Titans preparedness plan and everything like that is something I enjoyed watching them do. They explored a little bit with Monarch's kind of response to what Japan's doing and everything like that. So like Kaiju Junkie said, it would have been awesome to see more of that. I bet you there's a lot of scenes and such like that didn't quite make the episodes and everything like that. And it'd be cool. Can we get a director's cut? Who knows? But we're always down for that over here. So I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the post-day craziness. I enjoy just kind of see the world respond after just a terrifying attack, and the way people respond and react. It's always very interesting to me there. So I like it. I wish they would have probably showed me a little bit more. The San Francisco scenes were cool, but It was they went at nighttime too, so it was like really difficult to see. It was a dark episode.
One word, Corey. It helps with cost. That's exactly it. Is a lot of times when they do those nighttime scenes that are very CGI, it's to help with the cost of it. It's just easier to do scenes at night. While that's not a good enough excuse, sometimes like. Guaranteed that's probably why you got the one shot of the overlay of looking over the city destroyed and then the rest was at night.
I thought it added to like the overall foreboding, creepy, eerie atmosphere.
Me personally, I agree with you on that one, Nick. I was fine with kind of that horroristic, element to it a little bit, the scariness, and also I would say it was used to be claustrophobic in a sense too for Kate, to kind of give us that feeling of, being choked up and surrounded by the darkness, to feel isolated, Corey, you're looking at me like you're disagreeing.
I disagree with what Redhead Outlaw said about me.
Super Bro is the host of Titan Info Force.
I'm just saying that the attacks in Japan are CGI, and I know it.
Now we're from our sponsor, Bio-Tracking Anti-Attack Pills. Buy them now at TitanInfoWorks.com.
Oh my god.
Use promo code SF was a hoax.
Oh god. Thank you very much for that, Redhead Outlaw. Oh god. It's not funny. Another element that I just think it's fun with this whole MonsterVerse is the amount of different type of Titans. Yes, we're not getting Toho monsters, which I know that to me, that's one complaint I've always seen from a lot of Godzilla fans is like, oh, why don't they bring in like Gigan, Megalon or Anguirus? Like, why aren't we seeing more Toho? Simply put,
I want my Hedorah in the MonsterVerse. Give me it now.
Exactly. It's the licensing fee. Without question, it costs a lot of money. I think even KDM Monsters talked about it on Twitter, where he's just like, guys, you need to slow your roll with like wanting to see Toho monsters. It costs a lot of money just to even have Godzilla in there. And honestly, it's a whole new world. Like, why not build and create new Titans, new Kaijus, new monsters that fit into this universe? And honestly, some of them were really, really cool. Like the Frostbark all the way was like, to me, one of the coolest Titans they made in this entire show. And really in the MonsterVerse, it's one of the coolest ones, I think, just in terms of design, its sound effects, even its special abilities. Pumbaa was pretty cool. Titanus Pumbaa was a fun one. I also thought the Ion Dragon was pretty cool. I don't think a lot of people thought like the battle between the Ion Dragon and Godzilla didn't go long enough, which I can understand. I mean, we just want more Godzilla, right? That's just the truth. But did anyone really think the Ion Dragon had a chance with Godzilla? Like, of course, it was going to be a quick battle. He was getting. I mean, he treated it like a fly. He basically swatted at it and was just like, "What are you doing, bro? Like, seriously, you coming at me with this shit?"
Like the Brooklyn Brawler in WWF that always gets jobbed and he comes out. He's got to put him over. Put the next guy.
Totally.
You ready for kind of a hot take here, Trey?
Give it to me.
I think Godzilla coming into that, Hollow Earth space, when he's coming through that force field, might be one of the coolest shots ever of Godzilla in all the MonsterVerse.
Say that one more time.
Godzilla walking through that force field, you hear the roar, and he just kind of steps into that field. Trey, you know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah.
That might be one of the coolest shots of Godzilla ever.
I won't lie. I mean, Godzilla has been very blessed in the MonsterVerse with some of the coolest intros ever, and that one is definitely up there.
The Castle Bravo nuclear test, the way they executed that was awesome.
Oh yeah, how they used even some of the concept art, from 2014's Godzilla.
Yeah, and I know my biggest gripe with the show is breaking continuity, and if I want to get super nitpicky and technical, well, in Godzilla 2014, he wasn't out of the water for too long. He just got out of the water, and they blew the. All right, but this is the one instance where I could be like, okay, fine, break continuity. It's not that big a deal. They But I'm just saying that shot was so cool. Like the way he just rose out of the water and the camera just went up his back. Like,
Yeah.
And besides, like that's even like I just said, that's one of those things where continuity breaking doesn't really matter. Like, and the same with the when he attacked the Golden Gate Bridge. Yeah, it wasn't shot for shot the exact same way he did Godzilla 2014.
Yeah.
But at that's just nitpicking at that point.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those scenes, right? Like where some of the fans who are super invested, and you're like, well, why was Shinomura not like at the Castle Bravo? Because technically in Godzilla Awakening, he's chasing him, and that's where they blow up the atomic bomb. But it's like, okay, well, that wasn't even addressed in the 2014 movie. When you see the files, there's no reference to Shinomura. So
Comics are soft canon, anyways. Let's just get that out of the way. The comics are soft canon.
Exactly. So it's preference. It's sometimes though, like when you get a director, when it's like, but it's a really like who said it? King Donkey Kong. It was really cool though. You know? Sometimes you can let it slide a little bit because it was just too good. Like it was a dope scene. It was a fun Castle Bravo. The whole Operation Lucky Dragon scene was awesome. And just I loved how they did it as well. You see the arrogance of the government side of Monarch, and you know how Dr. Keiko is reacting to it, and Shaw and everyone. They once again, when it came to the legacy cast, which obviously a huge pro in this show, the legacy cast, their whole storyline was really what drove the greatness of this show. Even though in the way the legacy crew broke canon as well, like I talked about earlier with Serizawa. Like technically, even in the movie files, you can watch the special features on Godzilla 2014, and they talk about Serizawa and his history with Monarch. They do it in King of the Monsters as well. All of that special features that they talk about Serizawa is technically decanonized by this entire legacy crew. But in a way, it's okay. I mean, it bugs me. Don't get me wrong. It bugs me. But this legacy crew was just such a great element of this show, and the most interesting and story-driven, mission-driven, that you knew what they were going for, what they were trying to accomplish. And there was great drama into it too, great human drama, where it's a love triangle in a way, right? But it makes sense why these characters kind of pull apart, and yet they're such like a tight friendship that you can kind of get behind them and root for them. And I mean, the actress, I mean, we'll talk about Shaw in a second, but the actress who played Dr. Keiko Mira, like, holy hell.
Yeah.
That scene in the finale was one of the best scenes, in my opinion, for a human story in the MONSTERVERSE. She played that so freaking well. And like, what a crazy scene of like having to be happy that you see an old friend and that you're found, that you're rescued in a sense, but yet be completely devastated of the time that has passed, the lives that have been lost, her son growing without her. Like, she just did that scene so well that truly I was like, when I watched it again to, you know, revise my scores, I was taken back again. I was like in awe, breathing, you know, heavily, like tears, just like one of those moments where you realize you're watching an incredible scene and a wonderful performance. Well done to that girl, because like she did an amazing job, like a brilliant actress in that moment and a highlight of the show. Seriously. What was your guys's? I know we've talked about them a little bit, but to go full on out with the legacy crew, general thoughts, Nick.
I think they carried the human aspect of the show, and I think that's fuck, I lost my train of thought. It's almost midnight. I'm fried, but no, I think they carried the human aspect. I really I've grown to like how they've sort of made Bill Randa part of the bigger picture. At first, I was a little unsure because with the way he was handled in Kong Skull Island, the way he was handled in that movie, it sort of made it seem like, yeah, he's been with Monarch for a little while. But in this show, it makes it seem like he founded Monarch. And I think they kind of hint at that, but I refuse to believe that. Like they've already messed up the canon and lore enough. Like enough's enough.
Yeah.
I headcanon's got to step in. But like just the way that he's handled in Kong Skull Island, where it sort of almost seems like the only interaction he's had with a Titan was surviving the U.S. the Lawton attack.
Mhm.
And meanwhile here, it's like, oh, he has not only survived the U.S. Lawton attack, but he's seen the Ion Dragon. And on top of that, he was there during the Castle Bravo mission. Like, he saw Godzilla. So it's sort of... And I recently watched rewatched Kong Skull Island, and I just couldn't look at it the same, because I'm like, this guy knows that monsters are out there. And especially in that scene where both the groups where they regroup and Brooks is like, oh my God, I thought you were crazy. And he's like, oh, I wish I had been. Like yeah, you could argue that he withholds information from people, sure. But the way he said, oh, I wish I had been, that sounded way too sincere for him to be like, to write off like, oh yeah, I've seen the Ion Dragon before. Oh yeah, I also saw Godzilla twice. I don't know. So yeah, I just I have mixed feelings with making the Randa name a bigger part of the overall story, but at the same time, it's kind of neat that they sort of just took a character and did that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you brought up some good points, because rewatching Kong Skull Island again recently as well, there was kind of moments too where I was kind of like, he really has an interesting transition, right? Like originally I was thinking like, wow, they really made him like a tragic character, because everything he's lost now and everything he was like fighting for, and to have him die on Skull Island and honestly be eaten by a skull crawler was like such a horrible way to go.
They just write him off like he just gets killed off like it's nothing.
Which honestly, that was always a complaint against that movie for me. I always thought like them killing him off the way he did was so not distasteful to do to his character, even in that movie, I thought. But go ahead, Nick, you were continuing.
No, I was just gonna expand like it for anybody who hasn't watched Kong Skull Island after watching the show. I recommend it. You like view Randa in a whole different light. Like it just, and it goes back to the story. I mean, the continuity. In Kong Skull Island, Randa is just this crazy cuckoo, only had maybe I saw something, maybe I didn't encounter with a Titan, to now it's like, oh yeah, Titans exist. I'm just really shitty at proving it.
Right. And but I think Randa also knows that. How does he say it? When they go off to Monster Island, and he tells Shaw to stay back. He tells Shaw that he's the one who, is able to, use the words or say the right things, because he's always been that way where maybe let's not lead off with teleportation or some tinfoil trap type things. So he's like, and especially as because I also watched Kong Skull Island after the show, because I was sad that Monarch Legacy of Monsters was over, and it definitely made it more heartbreaking that he was killed off, but and also in some ways it kind of like he lost everybody, he's kind of getting seen now a little bit, he's like kind of lost, he's lost into his work, so. And he never was the front person, he was never the one who was going to sugarcoat things or, get the funding, that be the person that is going to be able to communicate the needs of the funding in the right way. He was always kind of the one that people wrote him off. He was Tim, Tim was basically a reflection of Bill Randa, because he was the cuckoo guy, crazy, like coming up with all these ideas, like the hollow earth portals and transport, to where I don't think anyone took him seriously, especially after Shaw was missing in action, and I think people wrote him off. And even they kind of say with General Puckett, like when they're basically shutting down Monarch,
and he's kind of a one-man crew for like what, the next 13 years, I think, before Skull Island happens. You know, so he's kind of on his own. So you can kind of see, you can kind of explain why he is the way he is. Is there some canon issues? Yes. But I feel like if you wanted to, you could probably explain it. It's just there's still a little bit of issues there. Absolutely. Josh, what was your thoughts about the Legacy crew?
Oh yeah, like just agree with you guys. Like obviously, like they're more compelling. Like I said earlier, right? They're just more down to earth. They're more rooted. You really feel like this is our main character cast, or you really want more of them, right, throughout the show. One thing that just really stuck out to me as Kaiju Junkie was talking, like looking at that picture that's in the corner of the three of them, if you guys have like the journey of them, like those three, right? We see them there, but they don't start there. Yeah, in episode 1, you know, we see we kind of already knew it was gonna be a love triangle. It was like, all right, there's a woman, there's 2 dudes. It's like, who's she gonna choose, right? So there's a little drama in there that I was kind of like, okay, there's some drama, popcorn, like. So, but then as we go through the trials and tribulations, right, of these monsters and this government espionage and this, you know, taking over of an organization and all this political red tape that they're working through, they slowly but surely start bonding with Keiko and Keiko. How do you pronounce it again? I always feel like I pronounce it wrong.
I think Keiko is how I've heard him say.
Yeah, Keiko.
So when she's gone, I think it's in the penultimate. I think it was penultimate episode. Yeah, where we get Operation Hourglass, or whenever they basically don't have Keiko, and they're having that shot where they're walking to the pod, and you're seeing that dialogue between Shaw and Bill, and they're finally, you know, respecting each other and seeing each other as equals, because there's always that just kind of like, you know, with Shaw and Randa, you know, they're kind of at odds, or Shaw's always like, I'm in this for her. He's like, well, you know, I know you trust her, so we're on this for her. I loved seeing that evolution of that friendship between all three of them, slowly but surely. You know, there was drama. There was kind of like, oh, this isn't right. This is kind of icky, but you can't deny there's chemistry in the eyes of these Shaw and Keiko, you know. So, but Keiko, you know, she was all about the mission, and deep down she remembered what was most important. And with Shaw, you know, she cared about him. She was a friend. She loved him in a certain aspect, but she knew that she was vulnerable and getting off track from the mission because of her feelings, right? And I love that. We love that, right? I think as fans, we want characters to be noble. We want them to be loyal. We want them, right? And when we saw, like I mentioned, when we saw that other cast, they're not. They're nothing like that, and that's for not likable. But these characters are. So seeing that evolution and that resolution that we got with the three of them was just, it went a long way for me. And like Kaiju Junkie is saying, you know, with the post G-Day, we never got that. So maybe they were teeing that up for something to explore, but with these characters, at least we got that kind of resolution and also that reunion. Like you were saying, Trey, when we see that exchange between older Shaw, Kurt Russell, and her, it filled your heart, right? That's the payoff right there. You finally get that resolution from episode 1 with the bed bugs pulling her down, but she's back. So
it really felt like they did a great job. Like they had a clear vision with this group, a clear story in mind, and it worked. It had drama to it, right? It wasn't just about the monsters with them. Like they had the love triangle, but they also had a little bit of social awareness, you know, with her being a Japanese immigrant, you know, in America, and how she's dealing with that. But you also see kind of the beauty of like how Shaw, when they first met, like he didn't realize that she was a woman, a doctor, you know, and kind of that little pissing contest they had with each other. And so there was just these really nice moments and character moments that made them such a strong story and group for this show that it was, to me, it was the glue that held the audience together, and honestly should have been probably the main focus of the show. But I mean, you'll see even in Corey and I score, it was like anytime the legacy crew showed up, our scores were a bit higher. And then when it was solely the post G-Day crew, it was kind of something felt like it was missing.
To expand on that though, like I don't know if Monarch Legacy of Monsters and Apple TV realized how wonderful they casted the Legacy crew.
Knocked it out of the park.
Absolutely knocked it out of the park. And their story was such a solid story. It was fantastic. I enjoyed every aspect of it. And looking back at the entire season now, I almost would have rathered have season 1 be the entire season being about building Monarch, the legacy cast, all of season 1. Season 2 includes the Kate and everybody else, because I kind of taking a step back and listen to I listened to my boy Josh talk about the things that he really liked about the post G-Day cast. Also kind of eases me up on them a little bit too, is like to think about it a different way. It's awesome. That's why I love all these different takes and everything in these shows. The biggest thing, like I think that the post G-Day cast ran into is how solid the legacy cast was. They couldn't compete. So that's where some of my I don't really care about you guys, post G-Day cast. I care about you guys, like that. So and all the interactions there. So I loved the legacy cast so much, and I really hope that we, if we get I'd love to see a spinoff or maybe season 2 continue to play back with the legacy cast, because watching Skull Island, Bill Randall was kind of there for me, he was just a guy. Now I love Bill Randall. That's a character that I really care about now. I really care about Keiko. I really care about Lee Shaw and everything like that. And I don't want. I want more. I'm invested in them. I want more. So yes, they did a absolute fantastic job with the legacy cast. Their stories were strong, and I think there's ways, yes, I didn't really know about the continuity errors, being a kind of a younger Godzilla, Kong, MonsterVerse, or I guess MonsterVerse fan. But maybe there's even ways to kind of patch that up in a spinoff where Sarah's, seeing how popular it is, maybe they can put some more money into it and maybe, show the Sarazawa connection and everything like that, and kind of put some patches onto some continuity errors as well. I would love to see it.
Mm. Yeah, no, I think you all brought up some wonderful points of maybe some of the expansions that they have done in the MonsterVerse lore with especially Bill Randa. Yes, there are some canon issues that they've messed with that hopefully they're like Nick has said, they're a little tighter in the season 2 if it does happen. They don't play around too much with it, and they kind of stick within the realm. I mean, we were even talking throughout the show, at some point, because we're pre King of the Monsters, we're going to have to hear about Shaw. We're going to have to hear about Brody. We're going to have to hear about Russell's and Sarazawa and Jonah at some point. And that part never came because, and that was partly because of what we know in the comics. Jonah has a big part. Russell has a big part. We know Jonah has stirred up trouble with Monarch, and they're quite aware of his eco-terrorist group. So it was kind of, it almost felt like at some points they were trying to be separate, but if you're going to be a spin-off of the MonsterVerse, you need to stay within canon. But I know, Nick, I know you have to go soon, but you wanted to talk a little bit about the Titans and some of the controversy surrounding a show that's supposedly about the legacy of monsters.
Oh my God, if you thought I was a rambling, incoherent mess talking about the characters, no. I just think that people need to calm down with like, oh, it's not all about the monsters, you know. Because I've talked about this show a lot on social media, and one of the things I've been very vocal about is I wish that there were more Titans and Kaiju action in this show. And I haven't been arrogant about it. Like, I understand that it's not all about the Titans. I've just been very honest that I want to see more Titans. It's as simple as that. And I'm sick of people just dismissing that as lazy criticism, that it's not a valid argument, because, you know, it is. People have been like, the biggest pushback I've gotten whenever I've criticized this show is about the Titans, and people have been, you know, saying like, well, in Godzilla movies, some of the best Godzilla movies don't even have Godzilla on it. I'm like, yes, of course. I'm not saying that, but what I am saying is that in those movies, they've had strong, compelling human characters and a strong, compelling story to sort of carry the film when the on screen. And with Legacy of Monsters, it did that, but in the same way where a D is technically passing a test. Like, it just barely did that, you know. Like, and oh God, I can't even think straight right now. But you know, I just would have wanted to see more Titans in this show. I think they did really well with the new Titans. Whenever the Titans are on screen, they are fun to look at. And I also wish they had more to do. Like, the Frostfark had a lot to do. Like, he was like the stakes in the episodes that took place in Alaska.
In a way, he was kind of a bigger Titan than the Ion Dragon. It was kind of weird that they gave the Frostfark so much time, but they didn't make the Ion Dragon the big bad as much as they could have, you know? Right. Yeah. And like that, it goes back to my point where I wish that they had given the Titans more to do. Because the Ion Dragon, he was only there to prove to the Legacy cast that, oh shit, monsters do exist, and to give Godzilla something to do. And, you know, if you really think about it, this show was advertised as to a show that had a lot of, like, you're going to have your monster fill. It's Legacy of Monsters. You know, it's about Monarch, but don't worry, we'll deliver on the monsters. There's only like 3. Like, the Frostvark, that pig-looking thing, the Ion Dragon, the Endo Swarmer, and got 5 monsters. You know, I just So let me ask you this, Nick. Like, at what point, just for like the fans who do disagree with you, that are like, oh, that's just a general criticism. Like, when will you ever be happy? What would make you happy, or what would be a good amount of Titans, would you say? Like, how much screen time percentage-wise of the show do you think a Monarch Legacy of Monsters shows needs to have to make it more appetizing to continue watching? That's kind of hard, because it does, like I said before, it doesn't necessarily, like, I agree, it doesn't need to have monsters to make the show good. So man, I'm having a hard time answering this. I just think that it needs to have a better story and better human characters, and like to carry like I just said, to carry the show when the monsters aren't on screen. Had the show would have been, I would have given the show a much higher rating if when the Titans weren't on screen, if it was more interesting, if the whole show was as interesting as the Legacy cast and Legacy episodes. So I guess to answer your question, to make me happy, I don't know, just do it better. Like I said, I don't know. I have a very hard time answering that question. No, it's a fair statement, because I think what you're getting at is when you do have some of those unbearable storylines, you know, those things are kind of the thing that, I mean, I won't lie. The second time I was watching Monarch Legacy of Monsters, there was a couple of episodes where I I stopped paying attention. It kind of lost my interest. And I
That's
will say most of it was with the post G-Day crew.
where I was trying to get. That's what I was getting at.
Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off, but that's where I was getting at. It would have made me happier if some monsters showed up to pick up the slack where the humans to pick up some of the humans. Like, I'm sorry guys, I'm fucking tired, I can't speak right now.
Oh, no, you're good. I know, Nick, you've had a long day, my man, so we appreciate you just stopping by and giving us the time that you did, man. But I know this was something you really wanted to go into, and I think it's a fair argument, because a lot of people, we've seen people talk about it throughout our breakdowns of saying well, man, they really should have done more with the monsters. Like, this show is about legacy of monsters, and they kind of gave us the idea that we were going to see a lot of new Titans, and we got 4 new Titans, I think, kind of, but some of them didn't really play a role.
Yeah, and I saw somebody in the comments saying a lot of people would agree with you, Kaiju Junkie. And I'm like, yeah, but as a content creator, I see a lot of criticisms towards other people's opinions, and a lot of people are saying just try harder. That's the laziest criticism you can give. But I've always said that if you're gonna have minimal kaiju action, you gotta have an interesting and compelling story and humans to pick up the slack. And it goes the other way around. If you're gonna have boring characters, boring story, you gotta have monsters at the very least to give us something to watch. And Monarch kind of struggled in that department,
Yeah, no, it's absolutely fair. And I think you bring in good points of just if the story is struggling, then you're gonna resort to the thing that you need to kind of give it some fire again.
Right.
And of course, I feel like anytime with this show, I mean, especially if you were there for our watch parties, you noticed even with us, we were reacting excited anytime a Titan showed up, because you're like, yes, this is awesome. They're nailing this, this is what a cool Titan, something like that. And yeah, I mean, there could always be more, and I think it's fair for anyone who does think there should be more monsters, or at least a little more screen time. It's
I'm
going
going
to
play
argument.
devil's advocate here now.
Oh boy,
do you think that too much kaiju, too much Titans takes away the specialness of it, of a Titan appearance? If they're constantly going to be in all the episodes and everything like that, that's the build up to when, oh shit, Godzilla just walked in through the portal, or the Iron Dragon's here, or holy shit, the Frostvark showed up.
Right.
It takes away those elements of surprise, or just the shock factor of oh my god, another kaiju just popped up,
Yeah, I think there needs to be balance. I'm not saying that a Titan had to show up in every single episode. I'm just saying that I think there was a point in the show where the show went 3 episodes without even showing anything, and that is, in my opinion, too long. Yeah.
For sure. The span you're talking about is that episode 4 or 5.
Yeah, I think it was the mid-season. And if they did show something, it was a flashback that we already saw from the G-Day with San Francisco.
Fresh content.
Dude, I said it when we were talking about episode 5. It should have the same. They always showed the same exact flashback. On the bridge, Godzilla on the bridge. They could have easily shown Kate running through San Francisco as the battle's going on. It would have made it so much better. It would have made it even more interesting to see her overcome her PTSD, because it would have added to all the shit that's been piling onto her mentally. And when we finally see her, take control over her demons and take the driver's seat, for lack of better terms. It's good for you, Kate, but we only really saw a snippet of what you had to go through, and there's a sense that she kind of went through more, and they could have touched up on it, and it would have made it even more special. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Yeah, I mean, and Corey, great. That was a great like little devil's advocate question because I think
because like just coming from like another view, like I was thinking, I was like, I was okay kind of rewatching it because like obviously I'd like more kaiju, but there's some like I was thinking about there's something cool to the fact of the pop-up and kind of going even more. I like what TJ says here because one of the places that we did have an issue, and kind of what Kaiju Junkie and all of us have kind of pointed out, was episodes 4 and 5. You know, we had some issues with the storytelling. They were kind of focused too heavily on the post G-Day crew. So we also didn't get much of the legacy cast in episodes 4 and 5. Finally, in episode 6, we do get some legacy cast, but we really don't get Godzilla, or we don't get another kaiju until the end of episode 6, where Godzilla wakes up out of the desert. Now, that was, I think we all freaking freaked out in our like watch party of it, and I was just kind of thinking about like, okay, we had a slow episode 4, slow episode 5, but we all freaked the fuck out when Godzilla, pulled up out of the sand like that. Was that those slow episodes for the buildup of Godzilla coming in is kind of what I started thinking about. But I do think if they could have helped driven that the middle of the season a little bit better there, I think that may have taken our focus off of some of the lacking points there as well.
Right. I think when Godzilla showed up in the desert, it was awesome to see. Like, don't get me wrong, I was clapping like a seal too when Godzilla popped up out of the sand. But again, it just goes back to my point where when the Titans show up, a lot of the time they don't really have much to do. Like, Godzilla just wakes up, pieces the fuck out. Like, I think he could have, like, at the very least, did a little bit of a battle with the helicopter. Like, they could have been like, "Oh fuck, shoot him!" And maybe like he charged up his atomic breath, and they narrowly avoid it, but it hits the tail rotor of the helicopter and they go down, and then he leaves. Something.
Personally, I hear what you're saying there, but I think it was, I think something like that, not to like just like, oh, well, that idea doesn't work, but just for the simple fact that I think it would have been damaging for Kate, especially to see Godzilla be a bit of a destructive force right there. When I think the main purpose of that moment was the human connection that she has with Godzilla in that moment, so that Shaw can use it in the future, rather than if Godzilla got up and was like, "What the fuck is this fly doing here?" And
you know what? Okay, I retract what I just said. I didn't think of it that way.
So. And I'd like to build on that point, Trey. So not only did that point also come across my mind watching it the next go round, but also tinfoil cap gang, get ready. Episode 7, Tim takes a call or calls Vertigo and says to her that they had a Godzilla spotting. And I think I wrote it down somewhere. They saw Godzilla, and then poof, he was gone. Saw Godzilla, poof, he was gone. So I was wondering if maybe Tim is starting to figure out that maybe Hiroshi's and Randa's theory of this underground highway being slightly possible, because he was very specific in what he said to Vertigo. He appeared and then he would disappear. So to me, that was like, oh, Godzilla just went right through another, underground highway.
But how did Counterpoint though? Like, I think that was just Tim trying to rush through. Like, oh, you need a debrief? There's your debrief, because didn't the helicopter, it got downed, and then in the next episode we saw Tim was just covered. He was basically buried in the sand. So do you really think he saw much of Godzilla? Like, maybe poof, he was gone, meaning like when I woke up, he wasn't there anymore. I don't think it
possible for sure.
Yeah, I don't know, just a little counterpoint.
It's I love the discussions and the breakdowns of that, because sometimes that's what makes it better, right? When you're like really going through and like kind of get into the why of some of those scenes, and especially that particular desert scene with Godzilla and the impact I think it has on Kate. But then again, you're not wrong, Nick, when that scene kind of goes back a little bit in the next episode when Kate kind of has a negative view still on Godzilla. Well, actually, it's at the very end of that episode when she's talking with Sean. She's like, "You want to help Godzilla? You're insane." And it's like, yet she just had that moment where she kind of realizes Godzilla's not evil. He's just a being. He's just a creature. He's very much an animal, but also has a little bit of intelligence to him. So it's kind of, I could see both sides to it, which makes it a fun discussion for sure. But I know you need to get going tonight. Is there, to give us your general thoughts of the overview of the show, and maybe what do you want if they do a season 2, and tell us what you got going on with the future of Kaiju Junkie.
All right, I'll try to make this quick, but overall, and I think this show is a solid 5 out of 10, and not bad, but not great either. What else? If they do a season 2, I want them to tie everything up nicely, not play with the continuity and canon as much as they have. Make Kate, May, and Kentaro likable, because I think they have the potential to be. And focus more on Hiroshi. For the love of God, please. Like that, they needed to do that so bad in season 1, and they just didn't. So I really think that this show, is it deserving of a season 2? Personally, it really depends on what mood I'm in. Like, I've talked about the show way too much, and
so if it ended there, you would be okay. You're like, it was a good try, but I'm ready for Godzilla Kong: The New Empire.
Yeah, here's the thing. I'm open to season 2, but if they don't do it, I'm perfectly fine with just forgetting the events of the show even happened. I'm perfectly fine with going with headcanon and all that, and with the lore that we already have.
Okay. See, I love that. See, a difference of opinion, and I love that you're adding that side of it, because I have seen on social media there's definitely that portion where it's like we don't need a season 2. Like this was good, but
nice try.
Good attempt.
We tried. All right, I'll see. We'll come back to the writers' room another time. We'll give something else a try.
Yeah, maybe another spin-off of something else. But I appreciate that opinion, Nick. What do you have coming up on your show?
For the Kaiju Junkie page, just general content. Nothing really big planned. For Kaiju United. God, I'm gonna have to talk about this show again, because we're planning leading up to Godzilla X Kong. We are going to be doing a recap of the entire MonsterVerse. Godzilla 2014, Kong Skull Island, King of the Monsters, GVK, and Monarch Legacy of Monsters, just to sort of give everybody a refresher, or if they haven't seen anything from this series, they can sort of get up to speed if the new movie has any prerequisite homework. So, nice. Yeah, be on the lookout for that. We're still doing our podcast, Kaiju United Town Hall. We just did our episode on Monarch Legacy of Monsters a couple weeks ago, like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. You can check that out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Kaiju United Town Hall. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me, guys. I really appreciate you letting me come on again. I know I've just been all over the place. I'm actually on a work trip right now, so I'm just running on minimal sleep, and just my brain is firing at 1 million neurons per second. Here's what I hate about this show. Here's what I love about this show. But you guys know I'll always make time for you.
And man, hey, you still on point too, even though you're all crazy and it's tiring. But you still brought up some damn good points that I think a lot of people should consider, and also you bringing that other side to it, where you're voicing that opinion of maybe a lot of our audience hasn't heard, which is, it's a good way to look at it, because sometimes you either find what makes it better or makes it worse, and it kind of helps you form your opinion more on what you think of the show, whether it's
right
either way. And we just appreciate you so much, Nick, and
of course
I can't wait to see what you're doing over at Kaiju United, especially with a town hall on Spotify. I love listening to those at work, so thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you so much.
No problem. And I'll just leave with this one statement: wanting more kaiju in your kaiju media is a valid statement. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. You stand on the rooftops and you say it loud and proud. Do not let the naysayers put you down. It is not lazy criticism. It is valid.
Absolutely.
I love you all, but for the love of God, just let us have our opinions, please, and let's be civil about it.
Exactly.
That's the biggest thing, man. Just be civil with opinions. That's I at least appreciate a lot of our followers on this, that you guys have. We have had a few people be like completely on the opposite end of opinions from us, or from even the group of our watchers, and I appreciate a lot of you are respectful. Replay crew, be respectful as well, because we always welcome opinions, even if they're different from our own, which is, it's part of the fun, right? This is why we love discussing this stuff.
Even if they're tinfoil cap.
Even if your rating is a 5 out of 10, which also I'll just say that is an average rating. People think you say 5 out of 10, they mistake that as, oh, it's a 1 out of 10. 5 out of 10 is not as bad as some people think. All right,
I always say anything above a 5 means it's worth a watch. Anything below a 5, it's kind of like you wasted your time. Like, don't even bother with it.
Yeah. So my
so
two
you're right
things,
on that border there.
My two things. Valid criticism, wanting more kaiju, and 5 out of 10 is not as freaking bad as some people think. Relax. It's going to be okay. I promise.
Nick, you are the best, dude. Thank you so much for coming on, and have a wonderful night, brother. Can't wait to see you again, man.
Thank you, guys. Love you all.
Love you, man.
Take it easy, everyone.
Oh my gosh. It's always a blast having Nick on, especially just we've talked about it, right? Like if you watched all of our breakdowns and all of our shows, you kind of get the sense that there was things we really liked and a few things we didn't care for, but the general consensus is we really enjoyed the show and we want a season 2. So it was nice having someone who's kind of like, it didn't do anything for me. And he brought up some great points. I was kind of like, shit, Nick was right. There's some things, and there's other things I'm kind of like, I can see where Nick feels that way, but I'm kind of the other way on this. But I love that. I love that these differences of opinions that make the discussion so much more fun. So I appreciate Nick. So definitely, guys, give Nick a follow over on Kaiju Junkie and Instagram, and follow him on Kaiju United Town Hall with all the podcasts he's doing over there, because they're really fun. I really enjoy them. Josh, I know, I'm so sorry we haven't heard from you in a while. But what was your thoughts about all the different Titans? Did you have a favorite? Do you want to see more of it? What's your general consensus?
The super chat, it's kind of like reminding me one of the reasons why I like this show. The show overall, like I really enjoyed it. But I do kind of agree with Super Bro Corey. Like when you broke that down, I was kind of like, yeah, he kind of like gets what I kind of thought was good about the show is the buildup. And when you see like Amazing Webhead is saying, Godzilla sparingly, but then when we do see him, he's a present, right? Like the desert scene. For me, that buildup really, I want to feel it, right? I want to like feel the immersion and that these emergence of these monsters means something to us in the grand scheme of things. So for me, the sprinkling of them worked for me throughout. I will agree the human stuff, like Nick was saying, should have been as compelling when you don't have the Titans, right? To kind of juggle the show. I totally agree with that. For me, just the kind of like, just because of the type of person I am, and maybe my life experience and my perspective, the show, the sprinkling of the drama and everything, I tried to keep in mind that this is not our world at all, right? Like, this is a world, like when I was talking about the comparisons between the legacy and the post G-Day, yes, our legacy cast got like a little bit of the bow was tied, right? It sewed up, the journey was kind of tied up, right? But when I thought about why, okay, there was respect from Shaw and from Keiko, right? Because respect from Shaw and Randa bonding over Keiko, but they know that these monsters can kill them at any time. They exist, right? They don't stand a chance, so they survived. So, in my opinion, this world, that's all you're really worried about, because you having these, and back in the time that they were in, they're like, shoot, we could die at any time. So that sentiment is continued with the post G-Day, right? So even though it's messed up for the Kate, May, Kintaro drama and all that, right? And all of the back and forth, and we're going to follow you, and now we're not going to follow you. I kind of felt for them as characters, because I'm like, this would be chaotic process as people. This would be something where you're not thinking straight, and you're in the back of your mind subconsciously, these monsters are so threatening. The Frostbark in general was probably my favorite, because it creeped me. I said this when y'all talked about it, like, it creeped me out. That face hugger,
oh yeah,
it's
like, I don't even like to look at it, but it's formidable.
Yeah.
So the post G-Day crew kind of like, we're not having that resolution, but also, like, in my opinion, why it was okay, all that drama and all that toxicity and all the kind of like weirdness of the brother and sister, and then you're all fighting for May. At the end of the day, I think they're probably in the back of their mind like, hey, we got to survive. Like, that's the most important, right? So even though there's drama and it's like you're not doing what you should do, I think as humans we kind of become impulsive. We would become impulsive in a world with these terrifying Titanus Pumbus, and these ion dragons, and like, so I was invested enough in these characters so that when the Kaiju or the Titans came, terrifying. There's that face hugger right there at the bottom, right next to Godzilla. I like that. Yeah. It really gets me, but it's so well crafted and designed as a threat in a world where we don't stand a chance, that it works for me. And that's something I really enjoyed throughout.
Man, that's a great point. And I will say, like you said, with the Titans being such a cool element to the show, and kind of adding that layer of tension and survival instincts, and just the kind of the horrors of this world, of this MONSTERVERSE, it definitely brings the excitement to a whole new level, and kind of tearing the trauma to it, right? Of how do we survive in a world like that? And I think it's a really, really good point, Josh. To address the Amazing Webhead's $5 super chat, thank you so much, brother, for again, I think it's twice. Amazing Webhead, you're amazing, dude. The show once again shows Godzilla's intelligence. They showed that he does somewhat care for humans, but is more focused on protecting the planet. Yeah, I think he has, in a weird way, Godzilla has this like love for life in nature, and humans are a part of that balance, right? And sometimes when humans are acting up, we disturb the balance, like we did with Mecha Godzilla, and he lets us know about it. I mean, he lets us know even in King of the Monsters, when we were trying to, when Jonah's group was trying to wake King Ghidorah, he was, as Michael Dougherty said in the special features commentary of Godzilla King of the Monsters, he's like, Godzilla, when he does the intimidation display, he's trying to let the humans know at Castle, I think they actually call that one Castle Bravo as well. He's trying to let them know that, hey, danger is coming and I'm going to need your help. So it just goes to show how incredible of a Titan Godzilla is. And it's something I hope doesn't get lost with the future movies. I know Kong has this ability to actually communicate with humans through sign language, but I hope we just don't treat Godzilla as like the big guns, you know, like he's the one that comes in and saves the day. I hope they treat him similar to Kong, where he can maybe not have a, like, I don't ever want to see Godzilla doing like a sign language or anything like that, but I think the fact that they kind of addressed it in the show, that he's thinking, he's intelligent, you know, he has emotions to him, I think makes him such a cool character that they could really go in deeper if they wanted to. So I completely agree. Amazing Web. Then thank you so much for that $5 super chat. Corey, can you play the Amazing Webhead? Some little something to say thank you for that $5 super chat.
Too much Godzilla talk, not enough Kong talk.
With a little Godzilla coming to say hello, good sir. Oh man, I love it, Corey. These super chats are fire, man. Thank you so much, Amazing Webhead. I keep bringing it up because in the finale he saw the cast with the Titan bait. And knew they need his help, right? I totally think if you wanted to, if you just wanted to say, oh, it was a happy coincidence, that's fine too. But if you wanted to look at it in a different, I think that's part of the fun with media, right? You can take it however you want to, because it's through your eyes, it's through your ears of what you're hearing, you're seeing, listening to, you know. You can accept the storyline of however it means to you in your life. And for me, in what I think of Godzilla being an intelligent creature, to me, it seems like when he rips the Ion Dragon apart and throws a piece of him in the Hollow Earth portal, he was essentially making it safe travel for the humans to get away. I truly think that was his intelligence factor of like, here, I'm going to make it safe for them. So, I mean, whether you want to look at it that way, up to you. But I think it's a cool element if you do. Is there any other pros that you guys want to talk about with this show? I think we kind of gone over some of in our breakdowns where we talk about the reflections of characters and how they really do a lot of great callbacks to some scenes. Go ahead, Corey.
I just want to say real quick, touch on the monsters as well. I was kind of thinking about it more, especially after hearing Kaiju Junkie talk about it as well. I think we could always want more kaijus. I think that's definitely a fair criticism and everything like that. I think my kind of like coming into the show as a younger kaiju fan, I was expecting, again, like I've kind of mentioned before, that the kaijus were going to be similar to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in the sense that they make appearances here and there type thing, and we're focusing on Monarch and the people and everything like that as well. So I thought that it was a good amount of kaijus and such coming in. There was some points where it dragged a little bit for me. So I definitely hear what Kaiju Junkie Nick is saying there with a few episodes and everything like that. But I would say definitely outside of Godzilla, the Frostfark was absolutely amazing. And then I actually really liked the Iron Dragon. I wish we got a little bit more of him. But
I would have liked to have understood his saliva thing more, his spit.
Exactly. Yes.
I don't know exactly quite what it does, but it would have been fascinating to kind of understand his ability.
For sure.
It was like tar, right? Like hot tar.
Yeah, it was kind of like tar, but it also like crystallizes people in a weird way. It was, based off what we saw at the USS Lawton. But the Iron Dragon, yeah, I think if they wanted to give us a little more kaiju action, I totally think, yeah, he should have gotten some more screen time to really make a villain out of him. That he's an aggressive Titan that is looking to be more of a destructor rather than a balance or a nature. You know how some of the Titans have abilities to improve their environment, and he seems more like one of those Titans that he's looking to cause trouble rather than restore balance.
Yeah, Definitely. I did want to say one of my highlights, of course, was bringing back my favorite character, Kentaro's mother. When I saw her come back, I was like, yeah. So that's
I totally forgot. She is definitely a highlight. And you know what? I remember thinking in the first couple of episodes, she is such an incredible character, and I was like, why? Why are they making her? They're giving her a focus in a way where she's really becoming like, yeah, I love this character, Emiko. And you kind of get the idea that, like, well, she's not a big character, though. Why are they giving her so much time? And then you see her connection to Hiroshi and Shaw in Axis Mundi with episode 9, and then her resolution in episode 10, and all of a sudden it makes sense. Like, oh, they were totally setting up, and they wanted you to have a connection with her so that when she goes through her little side story arc, that it was much more impactful rather than she's just a side character,
I completely agree. I loved Emiko, I believe her Emiko, was so much as well. She was a fantastic portion of the story. Like, rewatching it, Josh, I fell in love with her even more. Like, the point where, like, some of the things I didn't necessarily see the first go around, where she meets Tim and like, oh, what are these people doing in my house? And she's talking to him in Japanese, like, get ready to get the hell out of here, and slips him the picture of Shaw, to get out of the house. And she's like, just being an awesome mom. And then seeing how she treated Kate, even how she reacted
with her trauma
as well. And then even towards the end, with Hiroshi as well. I'm going to say, I hope in season 2 we get her back, and I'm really hoping that we get a little bit of redemption. I kind of hope that her and Hiroshi patch it out, and I hope she forgives Hiroshi.
I think if there's a person that could forgive him, I think out of the two relationships that he had, it makes sense that her character too could. But I think I don't know. I could see where there would be some backlash if she did, from the social side of it.
I don't care. I don't care about them. How I see it, like, you can do whatever you want, and in a lot of ways, forgiveness is the greatest sign of love. In a lot of ways, like being able to forgive somebody for doing something wrong to you and everything like that. I'm hoping that there's a path to forgiveness and everything like that as well. So no, if people are upset if they were to get back together, I would understand that as well. So I still love you people as well, but who see that side of things, I'm just hoping that Hiroshi is such a broken person, and I feel like the only person that could truly understand everything that he went through was Emiko. And I hope that we get some redemption stories with him and his mom and such like that in season 2, and that he's able to do the right thing, be a man, and confess his sins to Emiko. That's
it would be an important episode for season 2, because we need more answers about Hiroshi.
It caught me a little bit off guard. I thought she was going to forgive him, and so when she put the ring down, I'm good for her, because she does need to stand on her 2 feet, and what he did was absolutely horrible. But in some ways, I just have like this soft spot for Hiroshi so much. I feel bad for his struggles and everything like that, and I don't know.
It's a good point, Corey, and I think it's fair. I think it's a fair one, because in one aspect, when you're first seeing her talking with him, you can almost sense there was still some love there.
There absolutely was love.
But it was one of those scenes where I think she's a strong enough person where she's like, you hurt me, and for you to make this right, you need to start with our son, and I think that's just one of the things that just solidified who she is as a character. She was always a mom first, always a defender, always a protector first. And I think that just goes to speak volumes about her character. And for such a short amount of time, right? We kind of talked about this with Samantha Wynn when she was on our show, and we were talking about her role in Army of the Dead, how she has a shorter role, but she makes such an impact with such little screen time that she becomes one of the fan favorites of the movie. And Emiko, her character does that for this show. She's in it so little, but when she is a rock star, and definitely something that needs to be highlighted in this show even further. So yeah, wonderful points all around. I will say, to add one more point, for a TV show, an incredible job on CGI.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we've seen so many TV shows, sometimes Star Wars, sometimes Marvel shows, hell, even some DC shows, where CGI for these big companies is absolutely atrocious, and they should have just not even tried or not even done it. They went all out on this one, which makes me a little nervous, because anytime that does happen, I don't know how the hell they did it on Godzilla -1 on a $10 million budget, but with these bigger productions, these bigger studios, you know, they're putting up some big money anytime they have these insane CGI shots. And I thank Apple TV for going all out on it, and I hope it doesn't deter them away from not continuing in season 2 and going bigger and badder, because they nailed it for this TV series on CGI, and I appreciate them for that very reason. Before we get into our scores, Corey, Josh, what would you say your average overall score for this entire season was?
So I'll be honest, like, I didn't have the benefit of like rewatching this show, you know, so I've only watched it initially like one time. I have something big coming up, and I'll talk about it at the end when we wrap up. I have some time off, so I might I'll be with my mom, and I talked about how my mom is a huge Godzilla versus Kong fan like me. So I've told her about the show. She was like, "Oh yeah, that's Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell's son." Yeah, so she's kind of interested in it. So I'm going to try to see if we can fit time to watch it, and maybe my opinion will change. But as of right now, just once over watching, I was kind of thinking about it, and like, I'll be honest, like, y'all, like this is one of the few shows that I've watched in 2024, and well, it started in 2023, but you know, now in 2024. And I loved it. Like, I did. I was along for the ride. You know, I am a MonsterVerse fan. I am a young Godzilla fan, like Corey. You know, Zilla was my y'all know Zilla 98 was my entry into this, right? And then -1 recently was my first Toho production theatrically. But as far as like the psychological stuff, the trauma aspect, the commentary, the like what I'm talking about, like the thesis of this show, as Corey stated, it's Monarch. That's what we're getting. We're getting Monarch, and then the tag is Legacy of Monsters. So that is what I kept in mind. And then so it makes sense that in a world with this Legacy of Monsters, people start turning into monsters in a roundabout way, right? And they're running around. So you're not gonna find characters who are the most noble everywhere, but there are a few, like Emiko, that stick out. And I was like, why do I like her so much? And it's because there's no one really around her like her, you know. There's very few and far between, right? So Emiko shines. And she should have been the main character, in my opinion. But I digress. And Tim is actually one of my MVP characters, because, you know, although he was working for this corporation, right, he is still doing what he can to do the right thing. And he's still a little bumbling, you know, he trips over the sidewalk. But he's so lovable too. And that lightheartedness, you know, you're going to find that. You need to find that. I know y'all are Walking Dead fans. So that kind of sentiment, you know, it's not zombies, right? It's monsters. But people are turning into the things that they, you know, are trying to, you know, avoid at the same time. They're trying to avoid monsters and survive, but they're kind of turning into their worst selves. So for me, I got a lot out of this show. I'd say 8.5 overall.
Nice, dude. And hey, solid score. And you brought up so many themes. I was like, yeah, that's definitely areas they hit right for me. I'm so glad that you were able to enjoy it. And I'm glad your mom's going to get into it too, because I think it'll be interesting to see how your mom reacts to it. With Corey.
Josh, I have to interrupt Trey. Sorry,
No,
Josh. That makes me so happy that your mom is interested in watching it and everything like that, and you're thinking about watching it with her. Because during my rewatch portion of it, my mom's been over at the house, and she actually watched some of episode 1 with me when I was doing the rewatch, and she's like, I'm into the show. I want to watch all of it. So I'm just going to throw it out there, Trey. It might be kind of fun if after the moms get done with it, if we kind of circle back around and have another, episode with the mom's takes. Like I would love to hear what your
Monarch mamas.
Monarch mom stars.
Yeah,
That's
Monarch mom stars. Yeah. Monarch mom stars. I think your mom would be interested.
That might have to happen
to do actually.
Yeah.
We might have to do that.
Yeah, that might be a different perspective,
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Get
so
Wonder
much.
Wife on there as well.
Well, I actually spoke to Wonder Wife about her thoughts, and a lot of her opinions were the same as mine. So you would just be hearing an echo, pretty much. What's that?
You need more moms then. That's just if you're a mom.
All the moms.
Yeah, if you're a mom, message us.
Calling all mamas. That's so
See,
funny.
people are saying it. That's awesome.
Hashtag.
Monarch mom stars.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Well, Corey, let's go ahead and talk about our scores real quick. So 8.5 was Josh's season overview rating, which I think is an honest and fair, and honestly a good. I mean, anything above an 8 is fantastic. You always hope for a show above an 8. Corey was pretty much interesting throughout his scores. This was from all of our breakdowns, our first initial scores watching each episode. You can see Corey was like hot on some of these episodes, heavy on the 9s, and he even gave it 10. My God, to the point where Corey's average score for the first time watching it was 9.01, if you want to add the extra decimal to it.
Yes, I do want you to add that extra.
Mine was a little less. I was a little more reserved on some of our episodes. So my average score was an 8.86. Now and we always say this because when we watch our first show, we don't know what the overall story arc is. So we kind of watch it based on per episode and what we think is going to happen, what's leading into it. Now that we know the entire story arc, we're able to kind of adjust and kind of be like, okay, here's where they missed a couple of things. And to be honest with you, when I saw Corey's score on some of these episodes, I was like, what is happening? I don't even understand anymore what's going on. So Corey, go ahead and go to our next slide.
Next slide coming up.
Okay.
Bam.
There we go. If you look, Corey, so I have a point difference chart. Just to give you guys an idea, Corey is always the first score. I am always the second score in each category. And if you look at Corey's second time viewing, he gave 2 episodes 10, but you see that his episodes are extreme. He either loved it or absolutely hated it, essentially. And because you see his point difference was like a negative 2.3 at one point, a negative 3.8. He had 1 plus 9, kind of thing going on. And me, I never really went anything more than a -1. It was always within a 1 point difference. So I was kind of in the same general area for most of my episodes. Corey, I need you to explain one for me, because when I saw your score, because the one that I moved to my little thing. The one that went extreme on your second round, you gave a 1.9 change on episode, I think 6.
Yeah, that's 6. Well, I guess before we jump all the way there, obviously I felt like I rated the first and second one very fair. I probably could have jumped up a little bit higher on those, in my opinion. They felt like the right score, and I was like, if I was going to jump up, I'm only going to jump up like a few points, like a 0.1 or 0.2 point two there. I thought the first 2 episodes were perfection. Were very good. After seeing 3 again, Secrets and Lies, man, let's just say, I had to give that one a perfect score. Episode 3, if I can sum it up for you, it's basically, the Monarch Legacy of Monsters gave us gun-toting Neanderthals, both Godzilla and a nuke in episode 3. So this gun-toting Neanderthal was all for it, man. Like, I was loving it. There's all this talk about Godzilla -1 and the nuke that went off in that.
Mhm.
There's talks about what's that movie you like, Trey? And I'm trying the nuke movie. Oppenheimer, yes, thank you. Brain lag there for a second. They gave a nuke there. Here we got freaking Godzilla and a nuke already in episode 3. So this gun-toting Neanderthal, absolutely loved it. Was there for it. So that's why that one ended up becoming a perfect score. It was already there. And when I watched it again, I was like, man, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. It worked really well going back and forth with Legacy and post-GA crew as well. And then we jumped down to the parallels and interiors and the way out. Struggled with those storylines, but let's get down to that plus 1.9, like Trey said. So that was episode 7. So episode 7, if you remember that review, we ended that review on some of the drama in that episode, and we got so fired up and so it felt like it was such a small part rewatching the episode that it didn't bother me as much. But the biggest thing too is to kind of tell you where episode 7 is. Episode 7 or episode 6 right before that, we get we're back into the Legacy cast. Duvall saves Shaw out of prison. Godzilla comes up out of the stand to find Hiroshi, and May confesses her sins to the post-GA crew. In episode 7, I feel like I may have been a little too hard on May in this one. It was, in my opinion, the best episode with just the G-Day crew, with no Legacy cast in there. Mainly because it was also a really big Tim character development episode. He did a fantastic job in that episode. I still have, some of the same issues that I had with Kintaro on giving up on his dad. And I think, I think that Tim is starting to get on the right track of this underground world and everything like that. You also see, Shaw begins this hostile takeover. He takes over Alaska.
That was a cool moment,
which was really cool. And then we got that deep dive into Cora a little bit on the side and her involvement with AET, which later we find out that is Apex and everything like that. And it really got me thinking, because I know you said in a lot of your issues with the series that the Apex connection, we don't know what Verdugo's agreement was to free May. There's some type of partnership with Apex and Monarch now. And we don't necessarily know. Maybe that's why they're on Skull Island, because I know
could explain the Apex facility becoming Monarch outpost at some point.
Exactly. Well, it's when I heard that, I was like, oh, that kind of explains some things for me. And it also it showed Shaw blowing up the Alaska Rift and really starting the chaos there. So for me to rate that episode, solely on how upset I was about how dirty they did Kintaro, I kind of eased up a little bit on it, and kind of seeing the entire theme as well. I kind of got the opinion that they were kind of done with each other. There wasn't really they weren't really patching things up. So I kind of eased up on it, and I brought it back up to a more reasonable score, in my opinion.
And the reason why I went down on that score personally was, to me, it was for the main characters of the post G-Day crew. To me, it was 2 step backwards for them in terms of, I thought they were going through character growth in the San Francisco episode, The Way Out. I thought there was like a moment where they were growing as people, and I saw too much of them making more mistakes that it kind of ruined some of the things that happened in that Way Out episode. And I was also upset that they did a wonderful job kind of showing us the reaction to certain things happening in this universe, that when Monarch basically reveals himself at this point, they are, the world is not aware of Monarch. They reveal themselves, and we don't see the reaction to that. It's a huge moment. The secret organization comes out on television and says, hey, that little alarm that triggered you on freaked you the hell out. That was us just testing it, but we have your best interests at heart. Trust us. We know what we're doing here. I feel like there would have been a bigger, larger outcry of well, this is BS, and people being on them to the point where it should have been part of Duvugo. I'm totally spacing her name.
Verdugo.
What, Corey? Verdugo. It would have been interesting to see her kind of get mad at Tim in a future scene where she's like, I literally can't get anything done because I have PR, the news stations all up in my business now asking because you made us go public with this, to kind of see some of that. But instead it was kind of it went nowhere with it. So to me, there was a lot of things that it was a huge moment that we didn't see the result of, and I was a little bummed by that personally. So that's why my score went down. But Corey, tell me about your negative 3.8 here. This 4.1.
Oh, yeah, that was episode
5, The Way Out.
Yeah, that was a kind of a rough episode for me. There was just so many things that were wrong. It seemed like it was kind of a pity party the entire time, personally. Everybody was kind of feeling sorry for themselves all the way in episode 5. I'm expecting a little bit more growth, and everything like that. We kind of took a step back, going back to San Francisco with her mom there. I didn't like how, Kate really treated her mom in that situation. She was very judgmental and everything like that. And again, she's upset with a lot of things. But, Kintaro was there, and even Kate's mom was kind of annoying to me in the sense that, you see the difference between, Emiko. You're not going to beat Emiko as a mom. So, the difference there was kind of frustrating to me. But more importantly, because this is the episode where they kind of show Kate's background and everything that Kate's flashbacks of the relationships that she had, how she was kind of a bad person and lover as well. And the point where I had an issue with this episode the most is because episode 4 was a slower issue with Kintaro and May's backstory. So we kind of had a slow issue there. Then 5 came along, and it was another slow issue. And here there was nothing from really Kate's story. That entire portion of it was needed because we don't know anything more. They never built on that. did she ever go back and find her, in San Francisco? Did she, try to find the person that she was cheating on her? It to me, it was just bullshit filler. Like, I don't mind what
Interesting.
because I appreciate that. They're trying to show some mirroring of, the cheating and stuff like that. But like, that's all it was if that's all it was just a quick mirror of that. I don't know if we needed the entire episode to be about that then. So it seemed like it could have been done a little bit more. And it also, I think I was getting frustrated because I wanted more, Hiroshi and everything else. Like this could have been some good Hiroshi style stuff now that we know Hiroshi's alive. It felt like instead of getting the backfiller of this portion, we know Hiroshi's alive. Let's get this would have been a perfect episode to have the Hiroshi backstory in as well. Because end of episode 4, we know that he's alive. 5, it would have been good to see some more there. The other thing that frustrated me too is again, it just kind of showed to me the immaturity of the post G-Day crew, especially in the night mission. The night mission really frustrated me a little bit, actually, Trey, because they're told that, hey, if you're caught, you could be potentially shot. You could be shot on sight. And here they are, they almost have a close call. They're hiding. And then the second they throw the bag and there's cats and they go off a different way, they go around the corner, and what do they start doing? They start singing songs about what their dad had done, which was a beautiful moment. But they're like, you literally just got caught there right around the corner, and now we're kind of getting a little too loud. And even me is like, hey, we should probably tone it down some. We're getting too loud. So for me, there's a lot of just frustrations, and like the story that they did show, I would have rated it higher if it actually served more of a point than just being all the connections of, it kind of mirrors the love triangle there. It would have been so much better if they shortened that portion up, since they're not going to talk anymore about the lovers, and then expanded more on Hiroshi there. Like that, this is the episode I criticized the most because it felt like the perfect time to add a Hiroshi backstory. And that's where my complaint came in, and that's why I dropped it. 3
Okay.
This
That's
perfect for Hiroshi backstory.
interesting.
In conjunction with what we got. They should have shortened her backstory.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I can see your points. It sounds like you had a lot of logical issues with that particular episode. For me, I didn't think it was nearly as bad. In fact, this one I struggled with because...
Can I say one more thing too?
Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off. But the other thing that I kind of picked up on too, this was the second episode where there was no back-to-back, no legacy crew. So it was a long time without legacy cast. So no times, very rare times, no legacy cast.
That's fair. For me, I struggled with this one because part of me wanted to keep it above an 8. And the reason for that is I actually thought it was one of the better character developments, like in terms of the post G-Day crew, when I didn't really care for them in the first place. This was the one episode where I kind of felt like it was the turning point for them, but everything after this goes south. This was like the moment where I was like, okay, like we've now had our resolution to grow, where Kate has kind of finally learned how to deal with her trauma. The way through is out. And she's kind of coming into terms with some of her demons. And I felt like this was going to be the moment for her where she could really progress through her character, but it goes the other way. So me looking at it as an individual standpoint, I was like, it's a really good episode. Like they do some really cool things. I get that post G-Day reaction. What has become of San Francisco? The characters have a mission that makes sense because they're trying to get more information about their father. So they go to his office and they learn about some of the paths he's taken and start to get an idea more about the Hollow Earth portals. so there was, and on me personally, I loved the whole interaction with her mom, because to me it was pretty much the exact opposite of Kentaro and Keiko. We got to see the other side of it, and it made sense. She's begging her mom to have a reaction to it, and her mom was kind of cowardly, and rightfully so. Like it's a painful situation, right, to learn that your husband's been having an affair and has a whole nother family, and but to me what made it beautiful was that ending of where she's like, to be honest with you, I was okay being him being a part-time husband. The problem is he was a part-time father. There's, to me, that episode was a resolution episode. What makes it slightly worse for me is that it didn't go anywhere afterwards. Like, it was this wonderful episode of character development, and they dropped the ball the second half of the season. But I hear your thoughts. It's very interesting for sure. Batan, you in your 1.111111 out of 10 for not even watching the show, and you voted twice on my poll with your different accounts, you silly goose. Yes, I'm going to call you out on it, because you just keep voting on these polls about what do you think of the show when you haven't even watched it. This time you did it twice.
Batan.
You are sad. You make me sad.
Christmas lights are staying up, Batan.
Right. But overall, for me, there wasn't a drastic change anywhere. I did find myself in the first two episodes really, like, they really hooked me in those first two episodes. I was like, man, they did some really good stuff here. Really liking where they're going.
You did drop 4 down almost a full point. That's interesting.
4 was Parallels and Interior. To me, it was just it didn't, to me, that was the one episode especially that didn't really do much of anything. It was kind of irritating because you got Kentaro who was like, I'm going to be my own man, and yet he's the one that entrusted Shaw, and he kind of becomes like, through the rest of the season, like Team Shaw, and then to me it was just like a back and forth thing with him that I was getting tired of.
Because when I rewatched it, Trey, the reason I wasn't as hard on that one, because that one had a potential for dropping more too when I was kind of reviewing it. I thought that it was kind of beautiful in some ways how May was kind of helping him with his father. Like he said to her that, like, like he doesn't want to go, and he kind of confessed that the art show, one of his biggest worries was his father. He was going to let his father down. So to me, the parallels and interiors, and seeing Hiroshi's face on his art and everything like that, and throwbacks, and then that, seeing where we get with Hiroshi and Kentaro, that was, a meaningful episode in the sense that, some of his regret is because that was the last chance he had to see his father, and he messed it up. So the fact that at the very end, he realized his father is still alive, that was my point, where it's like, there's definitely some issues with that, with the cutback scenes. A lot of stuff that I disliked, but now we got the hope that Hiroshi's alive. Give me something awesome in episode 5 on that.
Yeah, that's some fair points. I think for me, it was just also the storytelling tool they use. Like, to me, it's unoriginal now to kind of throw our characters in a hallucinative state where they're like, tired, or they're going through a sickness, and they're getting a flashback of a moment that's mirroring what is happening in their thoughts about what they're going through at that moment, to kind of explain them more. To me, that was just like, I've seen this a million times. Like, I know what we're doing here.
But Shaw said that, things get weird when Titans are around. So I didn't struggle with that.
Sure, I didn't look at that so much as the Titans, though. To me, it seems more of a hypothermia thing, which, yes, that happens during hypothermia, but it was just a storytelling tool that, like, I can expect in every TV show that does this, that at some point there's going to be a hallucinated story where our characters go off and reveal something about themselves and was the reveal something that like made the story any more interesting? He has more guilt about his dad. That's essentially all I got from it. And we know that May had a sister. So that's really all it did, which I feel like that could have been done in like 5 minutes of the last episode. We didn't need to spend 45 minutes doing all of that. To me, it was just too long of something that wasn't as interesting. Yes, there was a lot of imagery and metaphors in it that were intriguing. And I know Kojay broke a lot of those down. But it didn't do anything for me. It was one of those episodes where I found myself staring at my phone more than I was paying attention the second time I watched it. So yeah.
I was me in episode 4 and 5.
What's that?
That was me in episodes 4 and 5.
Okay. And the only reason why I went down a little bit on the finale was simply I kind of made my averages. I don't usually like doing like a 9.4555. So to me, it was like it was a clear 9.4 episode, and I mean a solid score nonetheless. The only thing that was somewhat irritated with was the simple fact of Hiroshi not giving us really any answers. How he kind of dropped it and was just like, nope, like deal with it.
10 was a perfect episode, buddy. The
it
acting
wasn't for me.
From Shaw and Kay, man.
I mean, that alone was like, if you drop some of the other things, then yeah, I would.
That was such a highlight, bro. Their interaction. You got Godzilla. You got Hiroshi and Kay. It was beautiful, man.
That's fair. To me, it wasn't quite a masterpiece just yet. But Corey, let's go ahead and go to our season rating. So for Monarch Legacy of Monsters, when Corey and I added all of ours up, and to be honest, when I added my score up and got the average, and when Super Bro Corey added his score up, we both got surprisingly the same score.
What?
Yeah, the same exact score, Corey. There was no decimal difference or anything.
Wow.
You and I both gave the show the second time watching it. So the first time, remember, Super Bro's average score. What's that?
Is there a slide for this?
There is. It's the very next one.
Okay.
The first score, I was going to talk a little bit about the timeline, but I think I was going to talk about it more in regards to season 2 ideas. But for just the season rating score, Corey's first time watching it, he gave it a 9.01. Me, I was an 8.86. So there's a little bit of a difference for us. You see, the second time watching it, there were some drastic score differences, but yet somehow Corey and I ended up with the same score. Weirdly, I don't know how it happened. So our Monarch Legacy of Monsters season rating, Josh, you'll be happy too, it's pretty damn close, is an 8.6, ladies and gentlemen.
That's funny, dude.
It's a solid score, right? Like Josh gave it an 8.5, we gave it an 8.6. Nick gave it a 5 out of 10. I think Kojay was probably up in the 8s and 9s based off the breakdowns we've done together. So for the most part, it seemed like a lot of us really enjoyed it. It was a solid show. I would be willing to watch it again. I mean, I did watch it again.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch it again with Mom now.
Mom stars.
But I think anything above a 5 is fair. I would say I think it is at least above a 7. But I know Nick and I had some different opinions on the show, which was great. But I think for the most part, it was a solid show, a good spinoff, great CGI. There's definitely things I hope they focus on in season 2. If they do, which let's go ahead and get into that. Josh, if they do a season 2, what do you want to see?
So I think in one of our predictions talked about how before we knew that Keiko was going to be coming back, I had said that I kind of wanted to see her because I think I forgot to mention one of the things that was kind of like something that I was kind of expecting or hoping was Serizawa as well to show up. And so I forgot to admit that was a little bit of a con, because I know he's such a big presence. I loved him in King of the Monsters, you know, and we know that we're not going to get him anymore past that point. So to kind of see him and catch up with him, I would love to see him be a presence in season 2. But I would also like, if we don't get Ken Watanabe, Ra's al Ghul from Batman, I would love for Keiko to literally, now we're in 2017, right? I would love to see her start to kind of, you know, be a presence with Monarch / Apex, I guess now we're dealing with, but also be just more of a presence. Obviously, if we're losing Kurt Russell, you know, we gotta, you know, get something. So I would love for maybe Serizawa and Keiko to kind of like have a, you know, interaction, or him to kind of catch her up to speed. And of course, my boy, I need all of my boy Team Tom.
Yeah, let's go.
More. I need to see more Miko. That's like really what I want. And Tim. Tim's my boy too. So I just love, there's enough for me to, the characters that we do have now that have survived, or, you know, and of course, hashtag Shaw's not dead. He's not dead. I'm sorry. Not dead. He was close to the ground.
Yep.
Still out there. But I do see it as something, if you're planning out a series with multiple seasons, when you're structuring a story, I could see the writers like, okay, we're going to give you your highlight in season 1, then you're going to go away, but then we're going to bring you back, you know, maybe to here, or maybe season 3 even. That's all, you know, in flux right now. We don't know, but I can see that happening, right? So I would just like a little bit more figuring out what this Apex world that we're getting into and that evolution. And maybe if we do, I know it's not the popular opinion, but if we do get the post G-Day crew continuing, right, let's have a bow and a resolution for them, just like we had for the legacy cast, and really see them redeem themselves, because they're all like, May's not trustworthy, right? She's playing the game still. Kate, you know, we feel a certain way about how she's kind of latched on to May. We want to see Kentaro. Like, I do think Kentaro, he should have been a little bit more of a presence in a more fleshed out character, so that we want to root for him a little bit more. He kind of takes like the, oh, I'm an artist with feelings kind of approach, and unfortunately it's kind of, you know, takes back his manhood, I guess, or, you know, if somebody, want to see him be a go-getter more, and not wishing like, oh, they go and find Shaw, but then like, oh, why are we listening to you, you know? So I get all the criticisms, but I do think if we get a season 2, we can fix it. So I'm hopeful.
Yeah, no, and you know, I think you bring up a good point, Josh, especially when it comes to the post G-Day crew, because like it's important that they do get resolution, and we don't quite have resolution for them. And maybe that was the point, is that they were saving it for season 2. I do think we need Kate to have a little bit of some redemption. You know, there's things that I think it starts with Hiroshi. You know, there needs to be healing with Hiroshi and his kids. We missed 2 years of what happened between Kentaro and Hiroshi, which is unfortunate, but maybe they'll go into that a little bit next season. But I think we really need to see Kate and Hiroshi, to see how it could be something as interesting that she blames him for her trauma, for her, you know, her life. You know, it could be the immaturity still, if you want to kick in it that way. If you still don't like her character, to her kind of blame him for, you know, her misguided idea of relationships and family. That could be something really interesting that they could really dive into, where it has happened, right? That is definitely a realistic thing, that it could really create a nice, complicated, dramatic story between him and her that could allow us some redemption with both of their characters. And especially it'll be interesting to see how Keiko reacts to the life that her son has had, having 2 families, because I mean, he's gonna have to come clean about that. I do agree with you. I don't think Shaw's dead. I think Shaw's out there somewhere. it's something that needs to he'll reappear at some point. I think it's just a typical show tool where they're like, oh, you've lost this character. Is he dead? Is he not? Will he return? You don't know. And it will be that epic moment when he does return that we're like, yes.
It's going to be like a Glenn when he falls and, you think Glenn is like, and
exactly.
Then you like, hey, but then of course, like,
this man knows. Batman coming in with that $2 super chat saying, can't wait for the Godzilla -1 review, but Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey's better. Get out. Get out. There's no way you could tell me something like Winnie the Poop, Blood and Honey is anywhere on the level, anywhere close as Godzilla -1. Yeah, I'll let you believe whatever you want. And I know you're trolling right now, Batman, but even just saying the words or typing them, just Corey, do we have any like gross super chat that we could be like, ugh?
Oh yeah. Well, we'll give him this one.
Okay.
yeah.
We're gonna shut his mouth. That's what we're gonna do.
You're gonna break his jaw. Like the Jesus Batman. Thank you for the $2 super chat, even though it was complete bogus. So, Corey, are you in agreement? Do you think Shaw's still out there? He's still alive.
Absolutely.
To return.
Absolutely. Shaw's still out there. Shaw's still alive. I completely agree with that. I was watching that pretty closely. I think he's still back exactly where we left him. I don't think he got sucked in a different portal by any means. It's possible that he got dragged through, but yeah, I think he's probably still down in the Access Mundi level. Kind of some other things that I'm looking forward in season 2. I have a feeling that the way they're setting this up, it could be very The Empire Strikes Back-y in some ways, where the Apex is out there. I'm curious what agreement did Verdugo make with AT, now Apex. There's some interesting things there. In episode 10, even May's like thrown off when she sees the person who runs Apex there again, and then she's like, Tim, what the heck are you doing here with them? And he's like, it's complicated. Kentaro and Hiroshi and Tim are going to realize what Apex is doing is wrong and evil. And I think that's either going to lead them back to maybe Monarch or maybe lead them to their, Kentaro, I think, is going to play a bigger part. I think he's going to be more knowledgeable about the Monarch and Apex world side of things. I think, Kay and May and Kate are going to be able to help them in a lot of ways as well. So I think that we're going to see some growth from the post G-Day crew. I think we're going to like them more in season 2, personally. And then the other thing that I was wondering too was Randa's files are technically all lost at this point, right? From our understanding.
Right.
The laptop got froze up and all the files are lost on there.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we may see a discovery of Randa's files again. And I think Kay may be the one who either uncovers them or she receives them and she starts to break down more of this Hollow Earth, the Access Mundi. And that right there is going to be how they find Shaw. Now, how is she going to get these files, you're wondering? On the boat, they tossed the files into the water.
Mm-hmm.
Bill Randa's video on Skull Island was tossed into the water. They found that video. All the files can be found in the ocean still. The way they shot that clip of like literally the files, like you see them throw the bag over, and then the you see them just all fall into the ocean. So I think there's a chance for recovery of those actual physical copy of the files. Kay's going to review those files. It's going to help her come up to even more speed on the additional Randa files. And I think it's also, by doing that, it's going to be able to bring old Randa back. And we're going to be able to see, the legacy Randa is what I'm saying, and see the trials that he was going through trying to get into that, crazy conspiracy things. She's going to get the files, and that's how they're going to bring Shaw back. They're going to figure out a different way. Now, the other thing that...
Well, the one thing to add, though, Corey, I think they already have some of Bill Randa's files because we saw Hiroshi still have some of them in his office in the final episode. So she's going to be able to see, and it's also what Hiroshi based some of his science on to find the Hollow Earth portal, Axis Mundi portal when they come out.
Because that's another thing that I noticed too in the rewatch side of things. In episode 10, I don't know what it was, but did you see those like eyeball things, those circle things that were on the portal that was coming back, when they were coming back through Axis Mundi, going back to where they landed, Skull Island. It's we've all said it's interesting that they landed there, right?
Yeah.
If you look at that shot again, Trey, where those circle balls, these eyeball like projection things, when they land, they're casting some sort of blue light out in the center, and they land right in the center of them. Are you pulling it up, Trey?
No, I'm not.
So they land right in the center of these blue lights. So I'm wondering if they have they've figured out too, in some ways, a way to focus in on where they land and everything like that as well.
Didn't May? Am I misremembering? I probably am, but I thought, didn't May, when they first go to May, back up everything and was trying to encrypt all those files, or was that something that I'm misremembering?
I think she did, but I think the issue was it was all on that laptop that got destroyed.
Okay.
So some of it is gone now.
They came back, 2016?
17.
Maybe. No, they came back 2017. Sorry, because they said 2 years after, and they were in 2015.
Yeah, that's right. Right before.
Yeah. King of the Monsters happens in 2019, so it is 2 years before.
2 years before King of the Monsters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
In which my theory was, and actually I think I saw someone kind of say it, is I think this is going to be part of the season finale, me personally. The Amazing Webhead, he said prediction. There's a time jump in season 2 where they're in Skull Island while the events of King of the Monsters took place and could show Kong reacting to Ghidorah's calls and fights the Skrullcrawlers who responded. I think in the season finale is going to be King Ghidorah doing his apex call to be, the predator, and all the Skrullcrawlers and creatures of Skull Island are going to respond to it to obey their masters. And essentially the season finale, because they always do things bigger and badder, right? I think it's just going to be a battle royale of Kong just trying to hold down the fort of Skull Island while all hell breaks loose. I personally, I think that would be cool. They just need to show us what is Kong doing during that whole event, because he would have heard it. He would have recognized that there's an apex predator out there. So why doesn't Kong do it? Yes, he's stuck on an island, but something tells me that he was probably busy, taking down all of the kaijus. And I think that's just going to be a dope scene to see, like Kong almost like a swarm of skull crawlers or creatures just covering him, and he's just having to fight his way through it. It'd just be an epic badass scene that I totally think needs to happen. And of course, seeing more of Mecha King Ghidorah. Yes, Oracle, I did notice that it starts with Skull Island, ends with Skull Island. Very cool. And in a way, both, and Randa's on Skull Island, very cool reflection and full circle event. Absolutely. So I would love to see that. I would love to see them go all the way into the King of the Monsters. I would love to see Alan Jonah still. I know I talk about this a lot, and people are probably like, dude, sorry, what's that?
I was going to say that's the next slide, right?
Oh, yep. I know people say, like, probably I need to slow down my roll on this, but I just think Jonah was such an interesting villain.
Yes.
Especially the fact that they use the skull of King Ghidorah, that he took and gives to Apex, like they need to explain this more. They set him up to be such a big villain to only have him disappear in Godzilla versus Kong, and that to me was super depressing. And like Josh said earlier, I think we need to have Serizawa back in this. Bring us Ken Watanabe, but more importantly, give us the conflict. If you want more family drama, this is the biggest family drama to talk about in the MonsterVerse, which is Serizawa and his son.
Yes.
You know, they need to explain. And yes, you could probably refer like Serizawa maybe have done the same thing that Bill Randa did, where he obsessed over his work. He obsessed over Godzilla. So in a way, his son was always jealous of Godzilla and his relationship with his father on that. So that's the reason why he wants to come. But something tells me there has to be a deeper rooted reason for their separation, for their issues. And the fact they never addressed it in Godzilla versus Kong is a huge issue for me personally of that movie that they need to fix. I know it's addressed in the movie novelization for Godzilla versus Kong, but a lot of people say the books are soft canon too. They don't really hold any value to it. So I need to see, it would be better to show us what happens between them that sets his son in this downward spiral to become Godzilla's arch enemy. You know, I think it's an important story to tell, and we need to see it, you know. So I hope we do get that. The Amazing Webhead says, for season 2, I hope it's about Monarch versus Apex on Skull. And I also think Serizawa and his son should be the focus, showing their dynamic and Ren's jealousy to Godzilla, which leads him to work for Apex. Amazing Webhead, you and I are just on the same track, my man. I think you and I are totally wanting the same things out of this. So yeah, those are my predictions for season 2. I think it will be focused more on Kong than it will Godzilla, which I think it should. It should give both Titans their moment right on screen, and it's very smart to give season 1 Godzilla, season 2 King Kong. Hell, if they wanted to, they could introduce more Titans. We do know there is a Mothra egg out there somewhere, and who knows how long it will be before Shaw shows up. I don't think Shaw is going to show up in Godzilla Kong the New Empire like Super Bro's hoping, just because I think the moment you throw him there, I think you get into this moment where he steals the show, you know, especially for the fans who are heavily involved in the MonsterVerse. I think you get a lot of people going like, oh my God, it's Shaw. And all of a sudden, if he just shows up in the middle of it,
cause confusion to people who didn't watch the show either. Like, why is Kurt Russell here?
Maybe a post-credit scene though?
That would be dope. I wouldn't mind. It'd be cool. But I think if anything, they should, if they're smart, if they really want to build Monarch Legacy of Monsters and the MonsterVerse, Keiko has to be involved in anything Monarch related now.
Yeah.
You know, she needs to be if she does go back to Monarch, maybe she starts her own thing because Monarch has lost their way, like Shaw said. I don't think she would join Apex. I mean, it'll be an interesting story if they did it where she does work for Apex, because at the time that's who Hiroshi's working for, and for her to kind of figure out that they're trying to destroy Godzilla, that could be a really cool turning point, and kind of betrayal for her. So we'll see. There's so many cool things they could do with season 2, and I hope they do a season 2. Which, Corey, speaking of, what did our audience say for season 2?
Yeah, everybody wants a season 2. That's kind of where the hype is. People are saying season 2, maybe more. But yeah, the general consensus, I don't think I've seen one person in the chat say that they don't want a season 2 at least, if not more.
Oh, did you not see the poll?
Oh, no.
Whoops. Okay, my bad. Let me see. I'm scrolling up now to see. Okay, I found it. So the poll was, do you want a season 2 of Monarch Legacy of Monsters? For our YouTube poll, which we got 29 votes, 3% of you said maybe, 6% said no, probably Batman. 89% said yes, which is very interesting because I'll also read to you guys my Twitter poll that I did that was a week long, and we got 140 votes on it. So not
Wow.
bad. Let's see if I can. I think I screenshotted it just so I could keep it close. Yep. Okay. Nope. Let's see here. So for our Monarch Monsters Legacy of Monsters, do you want a season 2? Out of 140 votes, 6% said haven't seen it yet, even seen season 1 yet. So they couldn't even give an answer. You need to get Apple TV Plus if you haven't. 7% said no. So a whopping 87% said yes. So to me, while 140 you could say is not a gigantic poll, but for us, it's a pretty good size poll. I think we get pretty similar numbers on both sides. So to me, it says people do want more of the show. They do want to see the continuation of the MonsterVerse and them to really flesh out the universe even more. So that's, to me, that's very, very exciting. And I hope we do. I hope Apple TV Plus, I hope you're listening. I hope you're paying attention to what a majority of the fans are saying, to focus on the positives, the pros, enhance them. If there are some weak points that you think you can improve, go ahead and do it. I don't think you should shy away from what some people would consider the weak points. I think if anything, just do it better, and give us, because I would love to see the redemption of Kate and Hiroshi. I would love to see May's portrayal even more if she continues down the Apex path. I don't know.
I don't know if that's gonna happen.
You don't know?
I think there's going to be redemption for May as well.
Okay. Corey thinks there's a hero story within May waiting to happen as well.
No, because Apex is going to be the Empire. They may start off helping them, but they're going to realize that, oh crap, this is what they're doing. May is going to find out. Kay's going to be like, let's get the hell out of here. And they either go back to Monarch and make Monarch great again, or they're going to start off their own thing with the Randa, Team Randas,
That could be interesting to see them create kind of their own organization. So that way, in a way, if they did do that, it allows them to have a little more freedom, not to stay. Because currently, as we know right now, Russell from King of the Monsters, he's currently the head of Monarch in Godzilla vs. Kong, and most likely afterwards. So it'll be interesting to see how they work this all out in season 2. But to me, they have really good potential possibilities for something really epic here. So I'm glad you guys are all thinking the same thing with season 2. Josh, as we start to wrap up tonight's show, first off, dude, thank you so much for always showing up. It's always good to see you and throwing out those different things that we're missing or sometimes overlooking with these characters, because you truly have helped me especially keep in mind some of those reflections, those inner depth character arcs that these people are going through a psychological viewpoint. So I appreciate that so much.
I was so pumped up when I saw you in the back. I was like, yes, like finally. we were rolling on them pretty hard, and I was like, man, we need somebody to be a voice for them, we need that, the other side to ground us a little bit and be like, this is another way you need to look at it. And I always love your thoughts and ideas, and it's fantastic. I love when we have the different thoughts and ideas. So I truly appreciate you always being here, Josh.
No, yeah, y'all are the ones who really have governed the platform and cultivated this community, so we can have, like I said before, this safe space to talk about this. And I appreciate everyone's perspective. I might have some perspective that's different, but I'm just here to share. And if it helps somebody look back and be like, yeah, you know what, that's kind of something I didn't think about before. In my field, even that's something that we always, we are all on our own person, right? We can only judge people based on our experiences in our lives, but you start experiencing the world and go out, you start realizing, oh, this is not what I'm used to, but this is what they're used to. And so, and for me, I tried to keep in mind, like I said, the thesis, this show is literally, we are judging these characters and projecting the rules of our world. well, they're not in our world. We're in their world where they're little,
Love that.
you know, they're this small, and there's these monsters, and they could literally be gone like that. And so people act ways that we don't want them to act. And but like I said, there's a reason why some of these side characters are my favorite, because I'm like, I find them and I'm like, oh yeah, Miko, that's my girl right there. Go on with your bad self, girl. So, and Tim too. So I really had appreciated this community, and you guys just inviting me along for the ride. I do apologize, I was late. I was doing some stuff. I got a busy week coming up. I guess are we kind of like wrapping up more?
Yeah. So definitely, if you have something coming up on your show, please let us know.
So I don't actually. The thing I alluded to earlier, I would kind of be away for a little bit. Unfortunately, I don't know if you guys even know about this. You might have, Trey. It's been a hellish week for me, y'all.
Yeah.
On Monday, and shout out to you guys. Like, I know you guys have been dealing with the loss in the family, so my heart goes out to y'all.
Thanks, brother.
Nothing that I'm going through is like that. So definitely sending my love to you, Wonder Wife, Trey, and Corey, and everyone involved and affected. But Monday, Trey, I don't know if you've noticed, but my Facebook was really flagged because I posted on January 19th a Golden Globes story of Christopher Nolan. I know your favorite movie of the year, Oppenheimer, receiving his Golden Globe speech. And it was on a story for 24 hours. I also posted the story of Jared Leto and Angela Bassett. Long story short, Facebook's, I believe it was artificial intelligence technology, flagged it on January 19th. I appealed it immediately because I was not trying to monetize it. It was up until January 22nd, which was Monday. On Monday, I guess the technology flagged it again from my Instagram and Facebook, since it was in my archive. It wasn't visible to anybody, but it was in my archive, right? So I got a notification that my Facebook was disabled and removed. Unfortunately, because everything is tied to that, my Instagram, my Messenger is what I use to primarily keep in touch with my family. Okay. So keep that in mind. So I've been
Mark Zuckerberg sucks.
Yes. And so I'm actually preparing. I'm having a major surgery on Wednesday, this Wednesday, January 31st. I'm having, long story short, I've always had allergy issues, ear, nose, and throat issues. I'm having my tonsils removed. Due to a lot of health complications. Essentially, my tonsils hate me. I was hospitalized right before Halloween and almost, I don't want to say, I kind of sound dramatic. I kind of almost died. Not really, but essentially my tonsils they're not able to compensate when I get sick or infections, and they turn on me and block my airway. They get so inflamed and enlarged, and I had trouble breathing back in October. So as something that the specialist has recommended, I should have my tonsils removed. It's going to be a really bad, intensive process, just a recovery process for me.
Absolutely, especially for adults.
I'm going to be down and out for a while. My mom's going to be with me. Therefore, on a lighter note, I'm going to not be able to talk probably at least for a week. And I don't know if there's any complications going to happen. So I'm a little nervous about it, but at least I'll be able to, I think, catch up on content. So I'm hoping that me and my mom can watch this show on a second watch through, and Monarch Mom Stars will be a thing. But yeah, so I have that going on. If anybody knows or has dealt with a copy, apparently it was due to copyright, Digital Millennium something Act, DMCA, Copyright Infringement Act, that suspended my Facebook automatically. I'm trying to appeal and get in contact with Meta. It's causing communication issues with family, but we're finding ways around that. So I've just been dealing with a little bit of stress, but nothing in comparison to what the Bat Channel has been doing.
Oh no, brother! It's
you still got a lot on your plate, brother. That's no small.
No competition at all.
So I was preparing, getting groceries and stuff, preparing for this week ahead of me of stuff that I can soothe my throat. And so I apologize I was late. But on a lighter note, I know we talked about the color schemes, Corey, of this guy, right?
Yeah.
Well, as promised, because I'm not going to be able to, talk, might as well read something. So
yeah,
this little bad boy, because Trey said it himself. It's time for G-Man to step aside. My boy,
Oh my.
King Kong is due.
Yes. That's
Now,
amazing.
So these, I have just like Trey.
Dope.
Oh my gosh, that is so tight.
Just
That's
Oh,
epic.
man.
Kong versus Godzilla.
That's
will be-
amazing.
I have all these, and I kind of more or less, I think issue 4 just came out. I do have issue 4. It's another Kong cover because I showed you guys all the ones that I have. But yeah, I kind of more or less know what's going on in the storyline, but I'm actually gonna like read these. I've been saving these for my recovery process. So
Nice, dude. That's I love that cover too. They've done such a great job. I've only read the first 2 issues so far, so I need to catch up. But some of the covers have been fantastic.
let me just tell you, Trey, no spoilers, but it's a little misleading. But Supergirl and Kong highlight. Supergirl and Kong is a highlight.
Ooh, big fella.
Whoa.
My boy has a thing for blondes. That's all I'm gonna say.
That makes 100% sense now.
Brie Larson. Hey.
Hey, well, he knows he likes his blondes. Well, thank God Wonder Woman's brunette. Whew, I don't have to. Whew, I was worried there for a second, Josh. You had me nervous. I was gonna have to hide Wonder Wife,
Zam and Godzilla too. That's another thing.
Yeah. Well, Josh, first off, dude, I hope everything goes well with the surgery, dude. You'll definitely be keeping in my thoughts and prayers, and please stay in touch. However, we can do that. If Twitter still, Twitter.
Yeah, I got my Instagram back, so I have Instagram.
Oh, perfect.
It's
Okay.
been
Well, if there's anything you need, just let us know, dude. Our community is there for you. We're, hoping it all goes well, and I believe it will. Sending all bad vibes and any worries, and don't be nervous. It's all gonna be good, man. We got your back, and we can't wait until we can have you on again, or to whenever you get another awesome interview, guys.
Yeah.
Seriously, if you have not checked out Josh's interview with one of the Rebel Moon actors, it is amazing. It is so good. Josh, this might be silly, but I've checked it out. I've watched it twice.
Oh, thank you.
Just because I thought it was cool. Like, just watch it a second time. I was like, oh yeah, there's really goes in depth on some of his acting techniques and how he goes in that. And I just thought it was so fascinating that I was like just thinking like, okay, that's a cool interview. There's so many great things that came from that. And I just enjoy both of you. Like, you guys were both so chill and cool on it, and it's a feel good interview. So I highly recommend you guys check it out. If you haven't, do it. Just do it.
I owe that to you guys, Full Circle panel with Samantha Wynn and Wayne T. Carr, because I kind of, like I said, use that as, kind of like, okay, you guys are encouraging me to do YouTube stuff. These guys did it. I kind of watched you guys, how you conducted yourself, and you were the model. So thank you guys.
Oh, thank you, dude. That means a lot.
It was dope because he had Sky show up as well too. Because I didn't realize like Sky has met up with him before or bumped into him, so that was really cool. Like you handled it so well, and it was so professional the way you did it, and you got like so much out of him, and it like absolutely fantastic interview. I 100% agree with Trey, and that's what a lot of people in the chat saying as well. Great interview, and Oracle watched it last week. It was really good. So
Thank you.
yeah, definitely check it out, Red Hooded Outlaw. It's a really good episode and really great interview. Rebel Moon is a fantastic movie, and
can't wait for part 2, dude.
Oh, right. I can't wait for the extended cut, bro.
The extended cut, and I've just started reading the book.
Yeah.
And I also got the House of Blood Axe comics too.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
when it comes to Rebel Moon, I'm all in. It's a cool new universe, dude. So
Definitely, you take care of yourself, Josh, and I will be praying for you and hoping for a smooth and easy surgery, and you get those crappy tonsils out and heal strong, and don't have to worry about those things anymore, right?
Yeah, get them out of here. Get them out. They said they got to go, so I'm like, all right, let me get my growl going.
Exactly.
just gonna make you able to roar a little more, buddy.
How long do you think they said that you might not be able to talk for?
From what they said, the specialist basically said, because it's a long story, but I had a sinus surgery where they basically, when I saw Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 1, 2002, I think, I had tampons all in literally in my nose because they had to go in and scrape my insides. Kind of TMI, I'm sorry. But just to give you, so all that trauma, I guess, all right, that's all cleaned out, but then my tonsils overcompensate. So think of peeling an orange. Sometimes you can just peel it and it's all one piece, right? My specialist said yours are going to be like, for me surgically, like, those tough oranges where you just get a little piece and then you get a little piece. That's what it's going to be, a cut. And so it's going to be a lot of like trauma. Not TMI, I know, I'm sorry, but that's kind of leaving me a little like, I wasn't going to get it done, honestly. My mom convinced me. She's like, do you want to go through your emergency room experience back before Halloween? And I was like, yeah, you're right, because the bills hit right before Christmas and affected my way to celebrate with my family. So, keeping that in perspective, I'm like, yeah, I need to get it done. So, biting the bullet. Hopefully, a lot of soups and ice cream, not ice cream, but like just soft things will be, soothing to me.
I mean, ice cream though works too, but you want to get that Cold Stone, eat all the good stuff, all the good soup you like, whatever it needs, buddy. Just take good care of yourself, and we'll be keeping you in our thoughts and prayers, and please stay in touch, because we're going to be thinking about you a lot, especially with the surgery coming up, and wishing you the best, man. Take care of yourself, seriously. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us on our Monarch Legacy of Monsters. Finally, the season overview. Probably won't be talking about Monarch for some time until they announce the season 2. Just do it, Apple TV. But the theme we are going to be talking about for our Godzilla fans, we are going to be talking about Godzilla -1 movie review. Finally, I know you guys have been asked for it. The black and white version is out this weekend. I'm actually going to be watching it tomorrow. Just really, taking it in one last time before it leaves its incredible theatrical run, over $100 million globally. And just we'll talk about it, give our final thoughts on it, and hopefully we can do a big panel review as well to kind of go over our thoughts as a whole Monarch Monstars panel. Corey, what were you going to say?
I have a question too, since this is a perfect place for the chat as well, since just about everybody here already has Apple TV. Been seeing, with watching these episodes of Monarch Monstars again, I've been seeing a lot of ads for Masters of the Air, and I know that just dropped the 1-2 episode. Oh gosh, I think yesterday. So I was curious, has anybody watched Masters of the Air? Is that something that we should like? I want to watch it. So I think that's something that we should come back and talk about as well. Definitely curious.
Right? I mean, one thing to keep in mind though, Corey, just to busy wise, Halo is also going to be coming out soon. I think in the first week of February, season 2. So we'll probably continue that, and then also Bad Batch. So Corey, you got to catch up on Bad Batch. Yeah, it is. The Bat channel is going to be busy, so don't worry, we ain't going anywhere. And I know for those who have asked about our big announcement show that we were going to do, due to all the the family things going on, we're having to push it back. I know it's supposed to technically be this weekend, now thinking about it. So yeah, don't worry, we haven't forgotten about it. It's going to be a big deal when we reveal all the things that the Bat channel is going to be doing, and our new setup and look and stuff like that. So don't worry, we got you. It's going to be a cool time for the Bat channel this year. I promise. Your patience and your waiting will be rewarded soon, Battalion. So stick around. We got some cool stuff. Replay crew, leave a comment. Let us know what you guys think about the season review of Monarch Legacy of Monsters, and let us know what you would like to see in season 2. We'd love to hear from you guys, and we appreciate you guys so much for keeping the channel hot and popping. So you already know what to do. Smash that like, share this video, subscribe if you haven't already.
Godzilla!
Thank you guys so much. We appreciate you. Be kind to each other. Take care of each other. Tell your parents you love them. And call a friend. Make sure they're doing okay. Check in on them. It's always a crazy time in the beginning of the year. And you already know when that bat signal shines in the sky, answer the call. You know what to do. Guys, thank you so much. And now, I almost forgot, Corey. I almost forgot to say our whole little thing. I was going to skip the whole bat channel.
Which one?
The whole same bat time, same, same
Oh,
whatever.
Yeah, you were about
I was
to.
just going straight to the end, dude. See, I
Wow.
don't even know my answer. Can you tell I'm out of practice? 2 weeks and I'm acting like a rookie.
Wow. Rookie move.
Guys, thank you so much for checking us out. I am your host, Trey, with my boy Josh and Super Bro Corey. And don't forget to tune in weekly.
Same bat time.
Same bat channel. See you later, guys. Oh, that's dope. That
Shout out
feels
to
so
Red Hood
good.
Outlaw, Bat Down Stocks, Oracle Stock Tower, an amazing webhead for the Super
Yes.
Chat. Thank you,
Thank
everybody.
you so much for all the super chat, guys. And now, one last time, a special message from our sponsors, the TPP, reminding you to stay safe in a world of Titans. Have a wonderful night, guys. See you
Let
later.
me get that call one more time.
You got to. It's our boy for
Mm.
season 2.
Love it. Peace.
And now a special message brought to you by the Titan Preparedness Plan.
With the recent spike in Titan sightings circulating on social media, proactive preparation for a Titan emergence event is crucial. A single towering force of nature has the potential to forever alter the lives of millions. It is our mission to help you prepare for that force. The Titan Preparedness Plan is your guide to staying safe in the face of monsters. These are the 3 steps you need to know. 1. Know before you go. Identify the location of your nearest Titan shelter and practice navigating a Titan evacuation route with your family on a weekly basis. 2. Run and take cover. In the case of a Titan emergence, calmly sprint to the nearest Titan shelter. If your designated shelter is inaccessible or at capacity, seek the basement or lowest floor of a nearby building. 3. Stay informed. Follow any further instruction from local authorities and stay informed using your mobile device, television, or radio. We can't stop a Titan emergence, but we can safeguard our lives. Join us in building a safer, more resilient community. We are here to protect you.